Hey guys, just want to let you know before you start this episode, our first half is a little bit crunchy where we're getting used to our cameras, but our second half is much better. So please stay tuned. You'll have a great time, promise. Hey, welcome to Gone Rolling, where we all use our degree to play D&D. Enjoy our shenanigans, and let's get right into it. But where our story starts, probability or fate. Paths have aligned in this moment. You have all found yourselves somehow, some way, ending up in the town of Evelyn. A town that sits on the lake of Zorlorm, a beautiful freshwater lake. Massive in size compared to every other lake in the world. The largest freshwater lake, actually, in the world. Fed by many glaciers, the waters stay unnaturally cold year-round. But as the sun rises, warming the waters, creating glistening sparkles like diamonds, our camera, so to say, zooms into this quaint little town. Buildings line its lakeside. A river feeding into the lake goes down the grass all the way up into the mountains in the distance. Far to the north, to the west, are the Draco Peaks, a surrounding, encompassing mountain range that sort of overlooks the larger area of Tailwind, the vassal kingdom you are in. Under the eyes of the Velstian Empire, our story begins here. We find ourselves looking into a small little inn, a nice place, bit of upper middle class, fine pillows, probably a bath, and you can bet fresh sheets every day. This is the Pearl of the Pond, a perfect choice for anyone wanting to stay at Evelyn. In this room, we have a young girl, getting up early as she probably would, getting ready, because she knows she has a big day ahead of her. The sun has just risen, but she's probably been awake for a little bit, getting herself stretched, practicing her stuff, looking through her notes and books. Well, maybe not looking, so to say. What are you doing this morning as you get ready to begin your day?
She is a little bit of going through the things that she knows in her mind of okay, this is what I need to find. Am I gonna find him? Where is he gonna be at? Okay. I hope to God that he is able to direct me towards somebody who knows history. Where should I go first? What do you think, Oi?
You see your little creature, your little pseudo-dragon. Very beautiful in its colors. Its scales almost shimmer off the rising sunlight that peeks in through the blinds. Sort of nuzzles out from your hair around your neck, like a friendly cat, but not fluffy. Just sort of looks out the window. Seems like you guys are both in the same mind. You're just gonna let the wind take you.
She grabs her stuff, all of the stuff that she had in the inn. She doesn't think she's probably going to be staying another day. And starts to head downstairs.
Yeah.
Food definitely on the mind. She's definitely hungry.
You do come downstairs, no problem. This staircase, very creaky, squeaky, noisy. But as you come down, the inn master is already there, this old woman who runs the Pearl of the Pond. She let you in, even though you came in pretty late last night on one of the trolley boats that rides the shore of Lake Zorlorm. She sort of sees you come down, and you hear her. You can hear her, honestly, before you even come down the stairs. She's sweeping, just getting everything ready. As she immediately just sort of greets you. Good morning, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you for asking. By any chance, do you serve breakfast here?
Well, it is not usually something we do, but I knew we had a girl starting some sort of great adventure, so I went ahead and made some wonderful. She kind of shakes her head, retracting the word wonderful, but she already said it. Porridge.
Anything will be appreciated. Thank you.
It's okay.
It's porridge.
Gives you a bowl. It's fresh. No, maybe not what you're used to, but good.
gonna let you go hunting later. You're not probably going to like this.
Sort of like clicking, wisping sounds. Kind of like the puffs of an anaconda, you know, just like, you know, little pseudo-dragon noises.
May I ask, have you heard of a man named Chuck?
Oh, yes, I do know of Chuck.
Could you by any chance give me directions on where he is located?
Of course. I'm certain you could not miss him.
You see this old half-elven woman, she sort of like thinks for a second. There's a good chance that he's either out getting some food to eat or already starting his work day. He's a very busy man, gets around a lot. Any time of the day, could be anywhere in the town. But I would say head up the street, down the block, on the right. Check the smithy there. Might be waiting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sort of like takes a note. It might also be beneficial if you smell the sort of fresh scent of embers and burning metal or coals.
Thank you, I do appreciate that.
They would have started early this morning.
With that, she finishes up the food and she goes to head out.
Leaving the door of the Pearl of the Pond, you step out onto the cobblestone roads of this wonderful little town of Everling. It has a bunch of colorful little stones that were probably dredged up from the lake, you know, smooth over time, and they sort of line the road, making it almost like colorful, you know, not too gray, you know. You look out, but of course you only sort of see the warm light, you know. You've never been able to really appreciate the view of the world, but in this moment the smells and the sounds of awaking Everling almost translate the beauty in a way. You hear the sounds of young children heading to their classes early in the morning, mothers and fathers walking them down the road. You hear carriages and horses moving away. You smell the scent of fresh baked breads and goods. The town is waking, but in the distance, with your very careful hearing, your ear kind of twitches to the side. You swear you hear the sound, the crackling fire, hissing and popping, and metal banging.
Alright, make sure to keep an eye out so I don't run into anything, but I think I have an idea of where I'm going. So she uses her cane to also make sure she's not going to trip on any of the rocks and that there's no like holes or anything, but she slowly makes her way over there.
Okay. As you walk up the road, we cut away. Chuck, what are you doing this morning?
If I already ate, I'm probably doing continued work on a specific set of plate armor that's taken about
Fair.
a month so far.
I mean, yeah, it does take time, and the craftsmanship really goes into it, but okay. So as you're like banging out to this metal, sort of really working it, the sort of smith manager, your master for this town, the one that has taught you a little bit in the time you've been here, sort of walks by this older hill dwarven woman, sort of has some singe marks on different areas of her body, but she sort of shows her burn scars from mistakes she's learned over the years, you know. Sort of walks by, gives you an approving nod, and just sort of looks towards your work, looks back towards you, looks towards your work, looks back towards you.
It could use some improvement, but you have improved so much since you have been here.
Thank you.
Of course. Appreciation and gratitude is well deserved. I don't know who's going to buy a piece such as this. This town isn't filled with too many people that can afford it. But someone will need it. Your armor is, honestly, not appreciated as much as it should be.
Sooner or later, someone will probably come by.
This is true. Back to her own little secondary anvil, sort of starts working on this long sword, this long sword, like probably your size of long sword. Like for her, it's a great sword, but for you, it's a long sword. She's probably been working on this for a while, you know. I'm really trying to make a masterpiece out of it. Eventually, a shadow enters the sort of open doorway of the smithy. It's not really a building, so to say, more like a roof with pillars, sort of in an open air workshop. But sort of coming through, standing in the doorway, is a young girl. Why don't you describe yourself for this guy?
So, you see a 4'7" satyr walk in. She looks on the younger side, but clearly probably like young adult, older teen. She has a long wooden, like hand carved cane and a little navy pseudo dragon just sitting on her shoulders with on the underside of the wings like sunset colors. She's wearing mostly pink. It is nicer clothing. Big poofy fluffy skirt, pretty corset, like clearly middle upper class, and long hair that starts at the root as like pure red and then slowly goes to like white at the very end. And then you will notice as she approaches closer that her eyes are green except for the pupils, which are white. Hello. I'm not sure if this is the right place. Is somebody named Chuck here?
Yeah, that would be me.
Oh. What does he smell like? Like, what does this place smell like?
As this little girl talks to you, she sort of like seems to take in the space, but not like look at it. She seems to turn her head, sort of raise her nose, as if she's using all her senses to sort of take it in. Your Smith Master sort of like looks up at you and gives you a smirk. She's probably amused by this small, child-looking young woman standing next to someone so large. But yeah, what do you smell like in your work morning?
A lot of times, like, heat can overpower, like, how potent something smells, so it's mostly just feeling of the heat. But he doesn't smell particularly clean, because he's probably been working for a while now, so kind of sweaty at this point. In a probably
sweat
over,
with blacksmith mixed.
yeah.
And just for the audience, what does Chuck look like?
So yeah, Chuck is a 6'10" tall, 400-pound orc. A bit on the fatter side, and he's wearing a sort of splint armor that was kind of put together himself.
A literal mountain. The sort of comparison of these two, though Chuck is the one that can really see it, you can perceive shades of light and
There's a big
there's a shadow
right in front of her.
and like as he
oh.
steps closer to you, you can almost sense the presence, the heft of this person, but he talks to you with a very deep and calm voice.
Rosalind kind of like scrunches up her nose a little as like she gets the whiff of sweat. Oh, okay. So I was told that you might be a good bodyguard.
I can hold my own in a fight, but I haven't done too much of that work.
Little girl, this one right here, there's nothing that he can't stop with one hand. He may not have been a bodyguard, but he can definitely get you out of harm's way.
Well, that is what I was hoping for. May I chat with you? Not in here. It is a little overwhelming.
Sure, I suppose.
You can use the drafting room. This is where your plans are sort of sketched and everything. A lot of scrolls and papers for planned armors and stuff.
Alright. Just follow me this way, I suppose.
She seems to keep up with you just fine.
You guys enter this draft room. A nice little wooden space with the two of you in here, like, it's a little tight, but not too tight. Chuck has a sort of a corner where you have a big chair you usually sit in,
So, why does someone like you need a bodyguard? I can't imagine you're getting into too many particularly dangerous situations, but...
I'm a wizard that just graduated from the university, and I am going on my first journey. We are required to have a bodyguard or somebody to help us, as wizards do not have the best defense against creatures, especially ones that are freshly out of university, as much as I would hate to admit it, but I need somebody to help me get to my place that I am trying to go. And I heard on the way over here while I was on the boat that you are very strong, but also very nice. And if total strangers, multiple of them, are telling me of how kind you are, I'm sure that you are at least trustworthy enough to help me on a journey. It is not far though, it is just east of here.
How far east? Like within like a few days travel, or within like one day, or?
Make a survival check.
I was gonna say, you didn't tell me how far it was actually.
Yeah. First roll of the campaign, what was it? What is it? Oh, it's a 2. Okay. That's foreboding.
Hold on, you said survival?
Survival.
That's a 7.
You know what? Good for you. Because though you have never, of course, done well at studying maps, for very obvious reasons, you sort of think it out, things that you've been told, and you're not too familiar with this area, but based on what the committee gave you, the sort of quest that they gave you, and that you could read in your own sort of tactile print, tax speak, the location you're heading to is upstream and a little bit towards the east. If you guys get a boat to travel on upriver, it could cut down time. Your best estimate would be a week?
I'm not much of a traveler myself, so I'm not entirely sure. A week? Maybe 2? I will pay you. I do have money.
Okay. Is it? I'm trying to think. I'm not great with directions, but is it within this country area? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. It's not that far. It is.
Would there be a map in here at all? Or?
No, but you are pretty well traveled. I guess if you want to make a survival check, you can.
If there's paper in here, I'm
Could
gonna start to
you
try
sketch
drawing
it?
a map.
Yeah. Do you have cartography proficiency?
No, but
Okay,
I
then.
figure there's drawing materials in here, so I'll do a rough sketch of a map I've seen before.
Okay. I guess it is just based on memory and your knowledge of navigation.
This is not to help me figure it out. It's to help her. I'm gonna draw a map and see if she can point how far, because it's not become clear to me.
No, I like that. Okay, so you don't even have to roll for this. You sort of sketch out a map based on your own memory. Yeah, you think it's relatively good of the area. So you hear him like sort of scratch into a paper, and he sort of slides this paper over to you. You can sort of tell it's in front of you.
So I do not know if you have not noticed yet, but I am blind. I cannot see.
I did think it was weird that you didn't have a spell book as a wizard, so that does explain some things.
Rory, by any chance would you be able to point out where it is?
Sort of like bobs its head out. You do see that pseudo dragon sort of like rise up and slank out, sort of like rolling down the shoulder of her and walking onto the drafting table. Looking over this paper, using the pseudo dragon stats. Give me a wisdom roll. A wisdom check.
Map either.
I'm tempted to give a disadvantage, but like I didn't even make you roll, so just give a flat wisdom check, please, for the pseudo dragon.
You said wisdom?
Yeah.
Why does the pseudo dragon roll better than I do? It was a 14.
Wow. Okay. So this is kind of interesting. This is a pseudo dragon, but it's not like your dragon hasn't like helped you to perceive like objects, warn you about things, and describe things mentally to you that are familiar. In this case, the pseudo dragon, you can see this, looks at the paper, looks towards looks towards you, Chuck, looks back towards her, looks at the paper, looks up, sort of tilts its head. The best thing the pseudo dragon can understand is, guys gotta head that way. Sort of points its head out the window, Chuck. You can see it. A northern direction, up the river, because you can sort of tell where the river is in town. It's not too far from the smithy. The river's sort of in town. They purposely built canals attached to it, at least 100 feet wide in the town.
This might work out better if you. Is there a different city that that this place you're trying to go to is closer to, just as a general
Yeah,
area?
or is this?
So it is to north of here. We are trying to find the lake that we're at. Is Lake Zoram, or is it the one we're trying to find?
You are on Lake Zorlarm, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it is between here and Lestron, and it is a set of ruins. That was the other thing I needed to find. Was I needed to find somebody to help with the history of it. Somebody to kind of help guide us. But I was not sure if you would know that, and I don't think that you are the history kind by the sounds of it.
Not particularly. At least not in this region. But I suppose I can help you as a bodyguard of sorts. I might know someone who can help with the other thing.
Oh, wonderful! I had no lead on that one. So, you're willing to help them?
Sure. I suppose I do need to make sure I can store the piece I was working on for a while. But yeah, I can assist.
Wonderful. Okay. Do you need
Add it to your party.
time to get anything ready? Say, like, goodbye to anybody or anything of that sort?
Well, I think so long as I just let her know, then she'll let others know, and I'll be back sooner or later probably, so
Wonderful.
should be fine.
So I will go ahead and give you part of it up front. I will say it is a total of, depending on how well you do, split between both of you 20, but I was going to split it 10 and 10. But you are only going to get part of it up front. It also, that is going to be any supplies that we need as well. So if we need to get extra supplies, it is coming out of that money.
Alright.
But I will go ahead and give you 3 up front.
She hands
Thank
you
you.
3 gold pieces.
So what exactly are you expecting us to run into on this trip?
So the issue is that there are, between here and there, I know that there are the woods, the spider woods, but there's also knolls. It shouldn't be anything, hopefully, or if it is, it should be something very small. We're not planning on going into those woods, dear gods, no. But it's more just in case of an emergency. The university does not like the students to die. Not good press for them.
Are
You
you
know
still
very
enrolled?
well.
Graduated, but trying to become graduate students.
Okay.
You know very well which forest she's talking about.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that forest actually. I've made several sets of armor for new adventurers. Probably end up getting in over their heads, but maybe they survived and just continued their journey elsewhere.
Well, this is why I am trying to have help, so that I do not die.
As you sort of exchange the gold and sort of exit this drafting room, you do see your boss. And by the way, as soon as you leave the room, she does sort of like come over, and she actually introduces herself to you. I made a mistake earlier. I didn't introduce myself. You see, my young apprentice, young but large, apprentice here. He did me a rudeness and not say who I am. So she holds out her hand. She sort of like picks up on the fact, maybe a little bit more than Chuck, that like
Rosalie reaches out and
But-
takes it
Yeah,
as
she's
she tries
hesitant.
to pull away.
Okay, yeah. So she like sort of smiles and shakes your hand. It is an honor to meet you. I am this town's greatest blacksmith. They call me the Hammer. No one has ever called her the Hammer. She just made that up. You know this very well, but you can just call me Betty.
It is wonderful to meet you, Betty. I am Jean-Marie Rosalie Dupont.
Big name.
You can call me Rosalie.
You wouldn't happen to be from Tail, would you?
Yes, I am.
Such a name only belongs in that city, I assume. Such a beautiful, proper name. Did you say a Dupont?
Yes, I am.
Why did you have to speak to my apprentice?
So, I recently just graduated from the university there, the one for wizards,
Oh.
MIT.
Yes. Good school. Very good school.
So I am currently on my adventuring journey for afterwards because I would like to go back as a graduate student, but you have to have a little bit of a name for yourself to be invited back.
Yes.
So I would like to do that, and they helped me be part of get a job essentially. And I, as a wizard, am not entirely the strongest in terms of defense, and so I needed somebody to help. And on my way over here, I heard much about Chuck being very strong, very kind, and I thought that that would probably be for the best, as it's a little bit hard trying to find help as a young woman.
That is fair, honestly fair. You know, I have a cousin who is a mage. He was trying to get into the Mages Institute of Teo, or MIT as you have said. Wasn't able to. It's a very, very prominent school. I'm surprised that you have come all the way out here and sought out. Are you on some sort of greater adventure?
As of right now, just mostly given a task to find some ruins and find a specific item in it.
Of course.
Um,
But if you ever need any specialty made armor, metal goods, you can always come back to Betty the Hammer. Anytime you need, tell your friends, tell everyone. And also you're taking my apprentice away, so I could use the extra advertisement.
Will do. Thank you so much for being kind and being hospitable.
I was also going to ask if I could store my current piece I'm working on here.
Of course. It was an honor to have you here, but it was always a favor for a friend. If you need to step away or leave or go check on something, you're free at any time.
He
Thank you.
shouldn't be gone for too long. I plan to be returning him once the mission is over, hopefully.
Much appreciated. There's not too much more I can teach you. But if you ever do come back, I would always appreciate the help. Not many people can bend metal with their hands, so that's very good skill to have. I wish you the best, though.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also be sure to spread word of best blacksmith in town.
Of course. I do have something for you that maybe you can make the most out of. It was an idea I've been working on for a while now. Just one moment. Just hold one moment. I won't keep you for too long. She sort of like goes back into the storage closet area. It's attached to this open-air building, so it kind of looks like just like an outhouse closet stuck to this building. Sort of opens it, digs through some stuff, tosses out some hand axes, some daggers that just weren't perfect enough, you know. Betty is a bit of like a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff, but you see her sort of like just the back of her head, her full tuft of hair just sort of encompassing the doorway as she sort of pulls out this one big object and walks over towards you. She hands you over. They're maybe inconsequential, but they are stylish. These sort of really nice, like metal and then wrapped in leather bracers, sort of attached to the gear you already have, and she sort of just like lifts these things up. By the way, you can hear the half that she sort of like runs, raises them up. She's strong, but sort of like clasps one on and sort of does the other one. For you, not heavy at all. For other people, like dropping these on them, this would be like, dropping like a dumbbell. But they have on the outside a new logo she's been working on for a while. A hammer with a B, written in Velish and Common, you know, for anyone in the country to read. You're now branded. Special merch, just for you.
Thank you.
Of course, make the most of them.
Anyways, was there anything else that you needed to do or go talk to or anything?
I don't think so. I've not been in town for too long, so should be fine if I just head out.
Okay. So, where are we going to find this friend of yours?
If she's at a home, it would be sort of more on the water, but she...
On the water.
Yes.
You know, she probably pulls herself up in docks 3 blocks away in one of the little canals.
Also, it occurs to me, I probably should have got your name before agreeing to help you, but whatever.
Probably would have been a smart idea, but I kind of forgot to introduce myself. I went to get on the move.
I mean, when you asked me, I was kind of concerned of letting you go out on your own, so it's probably best if you do have the company.
Do not underestimate me. She literally starts walking away.
You just see the tension.
You're a guy that knows how to travel. You have a go bag, probably, right?
Yeah.
You just sort of sling on your shoulder, following this little satyr girl out the door. Walking in the road, though, you do sort of have to take the lead as you realize she's just walking.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I guess we'll sort of make our way over to their house.
Okay.
Probably know where that is.
Yeah, you do. You know, you've had to deliver some really heavy stuff there before. But as you're like walking down the road, at one point, some carriages run by, and you sort of pick this up, like all of a sudden. What is your passive perception, by the way, Rosalie?
15.
15. Yeah, that's good. You sort of like pick it up really quickly as you're like sort of rounding a corner. Rosalie kind of like stops and like pauses, maybe a little bit before you notice it, but this carriage just sort of like comes by really fast. You know, this town can be busy some days, but you realize she doesn't necessarily. She's very aware of her surroundings, and you see her like her deer ears kind of like twitch every now and then, sort of picking up little things, like, you know, bouncing around. It's almost like she has a different form of seeing everything, you know. But to say that in a less cheesy way, perhaps she's a little more magical than she seems, a little more skilled, but still very tiny.
Yes.
You know.
Little itty bitty.
And you said you were already wearing your armor, or?
Yeah, because if I walk around town, it's a bit of an advertisement, so...
That's true. Yeah, okay. So as you walk down, people in town sort of like take notice, and you can hear them, Rosalie, like sort of whispering. Maybe Chuck doesn't hear them. What's your passive perception?
11.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, like Rosalie sort of pick up on this. A lot of people in town are like, hey, that's the guy. Look at him, he's Chuck. Dude, the other night they saw him drink an entire barrel at the Wall of Kings. He drank all night, and he got up tomorrow morning. He's insane. You know, he's a bit of like a whole folk hero in the town, or like a little bit of a legend, you know. But to be fair, he does cast a big shadow. Even with the rising sun behind you guys as you walk down the street, the shadow just encompasses you as you're walking, you know. But eventually, he sort of like rounds this corner, he comes down these stairs, sort of this lower area, sort of like almost like a lower flood area, if you will. As you can hear the water running, and you realize you're down to sort of this canal space attached to the river, and you sort of smell the lake water, sort of fresh but almost earthy and lively smell. But then you sort of smell a very interesting palette.
So, the smell that radiates from her boat is that mixture of fine perfumes, lots of florals. She doesn't like sweet smells, they're too much. There's a slight smell of various types of smoke. Perhaps you could assume whoever this is probably does smoke various things. And the boat itself, if you want me to describe it, is red. It's red. There's lots of fine, intricate little details, and Chuck, you know this one well. You could spot it from a mile away, and you also could spot it from a mile away because of how stinky it is.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. She kind of like, Rosalie kind of like pauses for a minute as like they round like whatever corner before the boat, and she's just like,
Yeah, that's probably it.
This is indeed her houseboat.
Wonderful. I love people who smell so wonderful.
You're sort of walking along this, walking up towards this houseboat parked up against the edge.
She would probably be in her powder room, putting her face on, checking some things, doing her finances, and then just reorganizing some things, making a list of what she needs to do, restock, etc.
Outside your little, in your little room, you know, you have a sort of like a fog glass window for the bathroom, you know. on sort of like the port side, you do notice quite a large looming shadow walking down. It's through fogged glass, but you sort of like pick up on the sound of heavy armor also shaking.
She has a feeling.
Yeah. Do you also hear like a subtle like the sound of a horse?
You bring a horse up. You hear like the... Huh? Chuck, who is this?
What does the audience see?
You see a relatively tallish woman wearing platform heels, her wedge boots that are very unique to her. She wears lots of turquoise, and she has bright purple top on, like intricate pant pattern, lots of makeup.
Yeah.
Stage makeup that you wouldn't see off stage, and she has purple short hair.
Very nice. But as soon as that door opens and you hear the she sort of speaks out, all of a sudden that smell just sort of comes up. As Michelle,
Yes.
you see these two, a small newcomer standing next to the behemoth.
Now, Chuck, before you say anything, if she is with the tax bureau, tell them I don't want to pay. I'm not on the property of the government man. I'm on the water. Okay? Yes? Alright, good. Is that it? No?
No.
Oh. What do you want, darling?
Dodging those taxes by living on the water. Yeah.
I am going to pretend I did not hear that. I am a recent graduate from the university, the wizard one. And
MIT.
yes.
Oh, okay. That adds a little bit more credibility to you. My father is a professor there.
Oh, what is
The snake guy.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh, Kaisen loved his class. It was very long and chatty about it.
My father has a certain way of presenting. Anyway, what did you want? What did you go, darling?
Oh, I am tasked with going up to the ruins that is up north of here, north and east. And I needed somebody who could help get me there, and be like kind of a guide and somebody who knows some history. And I heard about Chuck because I was on the way over here and everybody was saying he was so sweet, so nice, and so strong, and I needed somebody.
Do you remember when you carried in my... You can't...
Everything.
I have a giant couch down there and a sofa. Carried it with one arm down here. On the stairs. I don't think he remembers. He was kind of... He had so much to do. He's so popular, as you say.
And so when I talked to him, he suggested to come find you as our historical guide, essentially. There is money involved. You will get a little bit of money.
Huh? All right. Money is never a problem to me, darling. But
Says
I
the
do
person who just
appreciate-
said that they weren't gonna pay the tax bureau. I would assume that money would be a good incentive for you.
It's more like I have personal opinions on the government of Elstia. But those opinions do not matter to you. I am just your humble guide, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, now come here. Oh, do you need help? Not in that kind of way, it's just the gap.
There is like a
There's a gap.
2-foot gap between the wall of the canal and the boat. Just falls in the water. Yeah.
Wait, how far is it? And is there like an opening? Like, is
There's an opening.
Yeah,
She
yeah, yeah.
can-
Yeah, so
You
like
can
there's a
open it.
deck in the front of the boat. There's the roof of the boat, and most of the boat is actually enclosed as well. Where Chel's talking to you from is like an open door, and there is like a ramp that could be placed up, but it's like if you
No.
Are you talking about like a jump?
Yes.
Yeah, you could jump that. It's probably like a 3-foot drop.
She's gonna use mirthful leap. She takes a step back and just onto it.
And the boat sort of shakes for a second, but she lands.
I can do it myself.
You would have done wonders on this stage, girl. Excellent.
Thank you.
Anyway, Jack, do you need help?
You may just want to stand at the other side to.
I'm going to lower the ramp, okay? I don't
can,
think she.
I can reach. Just like it might.
She goes and just starts quickly
Yeah.
lowering the ramp down.
Yeah. So now you can just walk on board.
I don't think she could put a hole in my deck, but I.
Yeah.
Yes.
The boat does sort of like shake for a second, but then it sort of balances out. It's a very large houseboat, but you guys sort of take a step inside the abode. Chuck, of course, you see all these wonderful things, You, though not able to see some of these things, do sort of get that,
I can hear the metal clinking. I can
You
hear
c-
where there's not as much sound bouncing.
You can tell there's a lot of trinkets in here, a lot of jewelry, but also, just I would say you're pretty cultured. You like at least studying in the school at Major's Institute of Teo within the massive city of Teo. It's a very cultured city. A lot of people from around the world, especially from your perspective, you got to really like experience the world's cultures, in this city. And you also were probably put into different types of dresses, gowns by your parents, growing up, different fabrics and types, and you sort of like walking around, you can sort of feel some of these fabrics. There's some very thin Atheland silks. There's some very, very like you can feel perfect embroidery on some of these things that could only be done across the sea in the Paradunian city-states, and a lot of this stuff in here, a lot of trinkets, but you also get this sense that a lot of these things are worth a lot of gold.
Rosalie will follow a child to wherever you're gonna make us sit.
She leads both of you into a sort of small parlor area, just a sofa. You recognize the sofa. Sofa, chair. She sits on a chair across the way. So, take a seat. Also, just to let you know, I'm unaware that you know. She takes a second with her wording.
I know who you are.
Oh, okay, cool. Yes, anyway.
What I was going to say is, yes, I do know who you are.
Okay.
I promise you are not forgotten, though you are definitely a fan, more of a fan of older generations.
Chell's eye twitches.
You're dated.
Anyways, there are some ruins north of here, northeast-ish, that are kind of close to the forest between here and Lestran. And I believe they belong to some giants. Does that ring any bells by any chance?
Make a history check, please. Very good.
We are not doing good on rolls today.
Maybe it's a bit early. Maybe you haven't had your breakfast or whatever. But you sort of think about it. And this young girl is sort of talking to you about ruins in the north. Yeah, you know your giant history. Velstia, the Empire of Velstia, has a strong historical connection to the giants that used to roam the lands of the north, and a lot of history you do remember from your sort of days of entertainment, on the stage. But when she sort of talks about ruins, Lestran is a very, very old city. You know that. Dates back to when the giants founded it, really. There are ruins all around that city. And the city is north of you, so yeah, makes sense that you should be talking about that.
Would I know roughly how far away it would be?
You've made the trip upriver, but not as far as Lestran. But the river that you're on, the Siren or the Serene, does go all the way to Lestran. That's actually where it feeds from. Make a survival roll. 16. Yeah, if you travel upstream and not using sails, because you do have sails you can prop up on your houseboat, but using its engine actually, which you do have, you have in the back a Fossic engine, a magically arcane powered engine, with a sort of paddle wheel underneath the boat. You could maybe make the trip all the way to Lestron, or at least where you think this girl's talking about, maybe under a week, and then probably just walking to the ruins after that.
So I know roughly what you are talking about. I, of course, know my history. And if you were talking about time, I would say if say you go in my boat, it would be roughly under a week, probably only about 5 days. But I should assure you, if we do walk, it would take a long time. The other option is, carts or horses or something, but then you'd have to get another guide.
That is true.
Do you get seasick often?
No, I just don't like water. Not a fan of it.
A shame.
No, it's not.
You hear, just for a second, a chill, almost in your ear. Just a little scoff.
But I would assure you we could make arrangements to perhaps, out of character, would that time be the boat keeps going and we are sleeping and the boat is keep going?
No,
or will we take occasional stops?
It's accounting and occasional stops, especially traveling along the Serene as you have before. And many of the rivers in Tailwind, this sort of the vassal kingdom, it's connected by rivers pretty thoroughly. But there's also like little way stations and little ports and docks all along the river that sort of like where you can park your boat at night, like little river inns, because there's a lot of traffic going up and down. So yeah, it's counting and stopping to sleep and stuff.
We could probably cut down on the time if we don't make as many stops as we normally would, and to try to get there as fast as possible, because the last thing I want is for a passenger of mine to be uncomfortable.
Do you by any chance know a dog called the Wasted Wolf?
Make a survival roll. This is, I'll give you advantage because you've traveled this river a lot as well.
16.
16, yeah. You haven't stopped there before, but you have heard of the Wasted Wharf. You usually don't go that far, but you've heard people coming down the river. It's a little bit of a questionable inn on the riverside. It's where a lot of boats park. A lot of people get meals, sort of stop along the route. You've heard that bit of scum, a bit of villainy, sort of parks up there sometimes, hangs out, because it's relatively close to the tip of Acneal's Cage, that sort of vast, dangerous forest on the east side of Tailwind. But you've heard of it.
I've heard of it. Why did you specifically mention it?
The quest that they gave me said that was one of the closest wharfs, and that we would then go east from there.
Walking easy?
Yes.
Can I think of any other closer point? Like, too out of character. Can I think of any other one?
Going off of what you just rolled, the 16, there are probably two alternatives, you'd think.
Okay.
One is taking the boat all the way to the city of Lestron, which would add probably another day or two, maybe 3 if you were really making bad time on the boat, and then walking from the city to these ruins. Or, instead of the Wasted Wharf, further south, there is another location, a little town called Appelin. Appelin is further south. It's a good day or two, but it has a little river inn that people park at and sort of walk to the town as well. And it's well known for its trade stops. That's where the Appelin cider comes from, very famous in this part of the country. But it would probably add a few extra days of walking. So Wasted Wharf is definitely probably the fastest. But the Strawn, longer boat ride, maybe shorter walk. Appelin, safer docking area than the Strawn or the Wasted Wharf, but the walk is probably also going to be long.
Alright. So, does your school want to kill you? Do they want you to get robbed?
No, that is why they told me to pick up a bodyguard.
Yes, but
And
we
he
would.
died.
Yes, but then I'd have to leave my ship in the middle of Cretan land. No offense to those people, but full offense. And I'm not leaving my things in that sort of environment. I have two alternatives for you. I think one you would actually prefer better since you don't seem to be a fan of the water. We could park in Applin, which their port is much safer, and we could probably restock on supplies much sooner. It would unfortunately add about a day or two more of walking, but since you do not like the water as much, maybe that is a better
I
alternative
would
for you.
much rather walk.
Okay, because I was about to say the other option is we go all the way to Listron.
No.
Okay. Chuck, any opinions?
I was going to say, if we go to the original dock that was planned, do you have anyone who could take the boat and just go and then just stay on the boat and come back to the port whenever we're scheduled to come back, or not anyone in town?
Anyway, she's thinking in her mind, I know an answer. I see him in my mind's eye. No.
Yeah.
Other options. God.
There are, you can pick up like basically crew. Like a bigger ship would probably hire crew. Riverboats don't need too much crew, obviously. But you could pay someone that's relatively trustworthy. Maybe they're attached with the merchant guild. That way they have a bit of credibility to them. And you pay them to essentially bring your boat back somewhere, park at any port you want, and then you can even pay them to probably hire some guards, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the only alternative, though.
Or if the closer port is better for everyone, then we could just do that and walk forever.
I am perfectly okay with walking. It's not that I do not want to hire anyone, or I do have people I could contact, which we would have to wait another day or two for them to get here or be
Nonetheless,
etc.
riding on the water is better.
Alright. Then I guess we will park in Applin and go from there. Is there anything that you need to do? Could we leave late today, or what were you hoping for?
The sooner the better. I would like to get back home as soon as possible.
Alright. She gets up and she checks a few things. She looks at her list. Yes, I could get it.
You do sort of hear, maybe Rosalie picks this up too. Your passive perception is 15, right? Well, Rosalie, you sort of just hear like water, because it's a boat on a river and like a little bit of a leak somewhere, maybe like a little bit of drops of water, you know. But to you, Michelle, in your bathroom, you sort of hear like some water like running slightly, you know. And to you that means something more. Something in the bathroom. Just like the water sounds a little...
Go straight to the bathroom.
Okay. A little off. A little like encoded. Michelle just sort of steps away, walks into what you assume is the little powder room bathroom, and sort of shuts the door.
Okay, fine. Sleep without saying anything.
It's probably just
1
maintenance.
second.
Shuts the door. You see it sort of in your water basin, just sort of like from your little like pump faucet. I just honestly, it pulls up water from the river in through like a little bit of a filter and pours it right in here. As you see water sort of pulling in this basin, it doesn't go down the drain. Instead, it stops, and you see just in the basin of water just sort of the vaguest image of a friend you know well. Hey, did I happen to leave my shoes over there? Just wondering, you know, I really, really like those boots, and I can't believe I
I will check for the boots. 1 second.
Also, oh no, before you go, wait, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Yes.
I felt the disturbance in the water. I felt a disturbance. Yes, yeah, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Is someone dissing my rivers and lakes?
She would be whispering,
Yeah.
but I'm going to project. I have a passenger that Chuck brought that she needs a guide to the giant thingy. You know, the ruins up there.
Yes, of course. I wonder how Chuck's doing. That town really loves him. He's such a cool guy.
Nani. Goodness, he drank so much. I saw him last weekend.
It's insane, yes.
And I just... Goodness. Anyway. Your boots, is it the squeaky ones?
Yes, those perfect little ones. Oh, by the way, a passenger, are you going on an adventure? Oh, I've been waiting for you to get out of the house so much. You really need to get out of here.
Listen. You're right. I know you're right. I'm slightly worried that they're actually trying to kill this girl. They wanted her to go to the warp portal, you know, that one? The one with the cretins and the...
Oh, I think you're talking about the Wasted Dwarf,
the
yes.
Wasted Dwarf.
Oh, if I could tell you stories about that place in 24. Crazy time. Don't worry about it right now, though.
Okay, Uncle.
But you know, this would be good for you. Your second act. Get out there, the curtain's rising, wind blowing through your hair. Take this girl under your wing. Oh, it's almost like I could write it myself. I don't know. I've always been your biggest fan. I will support anything you do, but please look for those boots. And
I'll look for the boots.
thank you. When you get a chance, just
Can we just throw them off the boat like usual?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I'll find them later. Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye. The water just sort of pours down the drain.
She leaves. She opens the door and goes. Chuck? Do you see any boots?
You look to the right side of the couch. These just beautiful, like almost red pink boots with like little green bedazzled like gemstones on the sides.
These ones?
Oh,
As he picks them up, they kind of go. They squeak.
thank you. She goes. 1 second. She goes up the stairs, and you guys can just kind of see, like, you know, there's like a little skylight, whatever. You can see her just. And then
Just sort of drops in the water.
Did you just ask for boots and then throw them off the side?
Yes. It is things happen.
You know what?
It's just normal.
The people of the countryside are so strange, Rosalie. So strange.
What happens in Evelyn stays in Evelyn.
It's a classic saying.
Not really. That's a boring statement. Nothing ever interesting happens here. It's just all military. You're the most interesting thing that's happened in like the few days, months. I'm going to be honest. There's nothing really to do here. You got all your things? We don't need to stop at an inn or anything. We have supplies. I have a few days of food in here, I'm pretty sure.
I have a few days of food as well. It is probably not good food, but it is food.
Okay.
You probably also have enough, like, the liquid called Fossick, the magical sort of energy that powers your magical engine in this boat. You probably have enough to make this trip, you think.
Okay. Would I have enough knowledge that I could restock that fuel when I go and we park?
There would probably be someone in Apollon that you could buy it from. Fossick is relatively common, just costly. It's gas, kind of, you know. But people do deal it, and they do sell
$5 a
it.
gallon.
Yeah, $5 a gallon, yeah. Yeah, it isn't exactly as cheap as sometimes we wish gas would be. It's a little more expensive, but yeah, you have enough to make it up there. You could probably buy it at a port. Fossick engines are getting more and more common every day, so there's a good chance.
Well, I believe I have enough Fossick for us to go ahead and get on our way. Anything else before I...
Takes out a little pouch. This is payment up front, so you will get more depending on how much we have to pay. I will pay for part of the gas because it is coming out of this. But whatever comes out of this money is less money that the two of you get. It is 20 in total, and I was planning on splitting it evenly with the two of you. But as I said, it is also covering any supplies that we may need.
Okay, sounds good. This is 5?
2.
2, okay. It should be enough. There's a couple.
At least to compensate.
Okay.
Again, there's 20 in total. It's just...
To fill up your tank completely would probably take 5 in total, but for this trip you have enough, and you guys are setting off?
Yeah, I'll grab the anchor, I guess.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, it was 3.
You sort of have this closet door that you have to open, and the contraption is there, and as you sort of like pull a lever, kind of, it's like almost like revving a like lawnmower. You have to like yank it sometimes, and then you have to turn these knobs.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of hear this. It's very steampunky because it is, but as soon as you start to hear the just sort of like a slight hum that sort of softens and softens, and becomes just a very quiet hum. Rosalie, in that moment, you do sort of recognize the smell, almost the taste in the air, and also the sensation. Roll Arcana for me real quick.
17 plus 5. I cannot math right now. 22.
22. You were taught a lot about this substance. It is a substance that is constantly being studied, and you're highly familiar with what Fossick is. Called Fossick, but colloquially also called sometimes glister, but also gas. Some people call it the guzzling magic, It is liquid magic. It's like condensed, kept in airtight containers. It glows blue like a faint light, and sort of moves on almost like mercury. It doesn't really adhere to anything, but that smell comes into you. Not burning magic, but there's just pure potent like casting of it. Because Fossick engines are essentially continuously almost casting an incomplete spell. And in this moment, you taste it, you smell it. This almost like metallic, but in a way kind of tangy taste in the air. You feel your nerves sort of tense. Your strong connection to the magical energies, whether through your ancestry or your studies. You feel the air around you, the space around you, be empowered by Fossick. It can be dangerous, but when used like this, mages like you almost feel emboldened by its presence. You sort of like take them to your wheel of sorts, where the rudder's controlled. It's like a sort of I imagine like a window maybe that sort of looks out to the front, but still inside the house a little bit, almost like a little desk you can sit at, but it actually has a wheel and like a window, You have a little horn, air horn. And sort of like tug it down, releases some air that's created like by steam that's off-put from the Fossick engine that sort of heats up, But as you pull out, sort of have to go through the traffic of other boats, and if you stand out on the deck as it heads out, or maybe you just sort of sit next to a window, or whatever you guys do, you do sort of feel, Evelyn, in this moment, the traffic on the water, another highway, so to say. Tailend is known for its sort of mastery of these routes of the water. You can get anywhere in Tailend, they say, as long as you have a boat. Go upriver, through Lake Zorlorm, to the other little lakes of the land. Anywhere you want to go, you can. And as the boat passes by other boats, you see some people sort of wave off and wave at Chell. Just sort of like, gestures, good morning, hey, how you doing? But you also hear people trying to like get goods onto their boat, cranes, just sort of like these rope pulley systems just sort of setting on much larger barge boats, And as you're sort of leaving Everleen, the engine sort of rolling as the paddles in the back of the boat sort of flip. You do pass by one of the most like prominent places in all of Everleen. You've heard about this place, Rosalie, but you also hear the music, because this is where a lot of public performers, kind of do their bits, and you're familiar with this area just enough because you had to walk by it, because this place sort of just go. It's almost like a little island in the river as the river expands out, with a little building, the town hall of Everleen, and in front of it, Chell and Chuck, of course, notice the statue we've gotten used to, the massive, prominent, and beautifully made statue of Siegfrieda the Great, the conqueror of Tailland, the Empress or Kaiserin in Velish of Velstia, in its classical period, the one who took control of these lands, forever remembered by the town named after her family, Everleen, for the Everhart dynasty. As you leave the town, passing through a little bit of a river gate, pass by other barges, you head out.
That's the woman that slaughtered millions.
Chell says bluntly.
In her head.
In her head, fair. Somewhere down the river, a pair of boots that were floating just sort of get sucked into the water. But as you head out into the countryside of Tailland, within the Empire of Velstia, the sun that hovers over the world of Hythea, the realm you call home, you head out. The year is 1340, and the day, an adventure, is ahead of you. It isn't always eventful, so I'll be sort of skipping some days along this path, but anything interesting I'll come by. But you do decide to park, or at least if there's not a place to dock, you just anchor down on the side of the river at night. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Fair.
Chell is not afraid of the river itself.
Would you still encourage a sort of watch system? Someone maybe stays up or lightly awake every now and then.
Depends on where we would be.
Fair. In the middle of nowhere, you usually don't have to worry about anything. By the end of this day, you would probably be in the middle of nowhere. The next port is actually, no. By the end of the day, before the end of the day, as the boat sort of comes down the river, you do pass by a small little port. It doesn't have a building, more of a just statue and a dock for people to park at. There's a few dinghies, when the river sort of expands here, and a road that goes up into the plains, into sort of a tree-covered area and heads further inland. There's a sign there, Chuck. This is the little dock of Zumel, a place where you can park and head to that little village outside of town. You've never been there, but it's just the closest little port towards it, next to Everleen. And of course, you also pass by the massive, you can see in the distance, the massive bastion fort, where a lot of the military of the Velstian Empire is trained in the south. This fort is the most prominent, structure. It is literally like a castle, but massive and a complex where new recruits go to train. Many people come up this river, and you do pass by a dock where a barge sort of has people walking up the path, probably new recruits heading there now. But as the day comes to a close, now you're in the middle of nowhere, and it's safe to park.
Chell absolutely would have made note that Zumel is one of my most popular stops. That's where I'm from, actually.
And outside that sort of little dock was kind of a neat little, very unique statue, Chuck. And it has a lantern in its mouth, but it's almost like a serpent sort of raised, hanging a lantern and a sign at its base, But that's really all it was, but it seems to matter. And like Chell says, it's probably beautiful and quaint. Yeah.
Rosalie's gonna kind of poke around the houseboat. What
What she
Because
feels,
she's
smells.
going around. She's smelling things. She's feeling things. She's looking for a corner that you would not be able to hear her if she was saying some stuff. She's wanting to.
There's a lot of corners like that, actually. So you probably could stay in the parlor if the other two are on the other side of the boat, or you could go into her bedroom. I don't think she would mind. It would make sense that, if you needed a private space, there you are. Her bedding is very soft. Any blankets, cloth is always soft. Things she would feel, perhaps, or just, do this too. There's lots of necklaces, earrings, rings in specific areas. You could assume that was you know, where her jewelry stand is, and then various other things. There's probably lots of papers as well with ink, and you probably could feel various writings of things like stage directions or tips or something.
I will say, at some point she does ritual cast comprehend languages and start reading some of the stuff.
Amazing. If you do that, you'll probably read it's from the perspective of perhaps the teacher that is saying you need to enunciate your voice more, or work on your expressions in this scene, look more upset, but you would also probably take note that the way that the instructor's notes are written are from Ichelle's probably perspective from how you've been talking to her.
Interesting.
Just
But-
because it's like cool, just for the audience.
Mhm.
When Rosalie casts like comprehend language.
Sit on herself, and
Yeah.
then whenever she touches a paper, it takes about a minute, but as she runs her hands over it, it slowly turns to braille that she's
Yeah.
able to feel.
Yeah,
the
that's sort of
little
like
tack speak.
yeah,
in your world.
tax speak, the tactile language, made many years ago, but essentially, yeah, that ink, wherever the ink is, it raises up in a way and sort of like morphs. So it's almost like you're scanning it, but you can read everything. Yeah.
Scales.
Yeah.
Like, she's so nosy. She's so nosy. She's just like, what? Because she's curious, because she does know you. So she's like, okay, what has she been up to? Let me see if I can find anything interesting. But eventually,
Anything that is actually secret or hidden or worth something to her as a person, you're not getting it. It's
Yeah.
locked away somewhere you can't find.
no, yeah, that's fair. She figures as much. She's just kind of being nosy. It does, at a few points though, like, clearly step away and make it so that you can't find her. So like, she tries to like make it so you can't find her probably twice. For each of these days, there's going to be 2 times, and you're not going to be able to find her for a little bit.
Like Echelle at one point, she has a hookah. There is a hookah
Yeah.
in her room, and it's just like, Chuck, do you know what she does when she's? How long did you know this girl before you accepted the job?
Before I accepted the job, roughly 124 seconds.
Oh, classic Chuck.
Every now and then you just hear the little padding of the hooves on the wood.
And you would notice during the evening, she actually does take notes in a book with an autoquill.
Quill just sort of just completely writes it all out.
She does have to speak the words, of course, but as it's like writing it out, she does have a little journal that is very tactile. You notice it has like little like 3D flowers on it, and has some lace, and has like a faux suede on like the back. So very tactile, very pretty.
That is a beautiful journal.
Thank you. One of my parents made it for me. It was a thank you gift.
That is lovely. She doesn't take any more notice than that.
Through the day comes to an end as you guys sort of park, rest well. The next day comes and you do continue on, just like that's sort of every day. Just keep on going straight up the river. But you always do pass by people coming up and down, you know. Every now and then you see traffic. Sometimes at night you see the lamplit barges go up, traveling through the night. But one of these nights before reaching Apollon, as you're sort of settling up for the night, anchoring out, there's just this sort of like little whispers and like little like almost like soft voices, you know.
What does it sound like exactly?
As your sort of like ears like twitch and you sort of pick it up, like maybe you're helping like whip up the sort of dinner, you know, because you do have rations and stuff on this boat, so like pre-made meals and not pre-made meals, but it's ingredients, you know. You have a little bit of a kitchen.
I'd also like to mention that she did, over the past few days, write 7 letters that probably the exact same thing, and then threw them on the side of the boat.
Okay.
You probably can guess where they're going.
Yeah.
She's not helping with
No.
it.
Fair. As you're just doing your own
No.
thing,
Yeah.
writing, like, speaking as your quill, your dragon sort of, like, bounding on the rail of the sort of boat, catching flies and like little bugs of the river. But as the night comes and it truly is dark, the little whispers come, and they do sound. Make a perception check for me.
23.
23, nice. Do you understand Riffic or Sylvan?
I believe we said broken.
That's right.
She can understand broken.
Yeah, in your studies and even in your time growing up, you did learn a little bit here and there. Of course, Sylvan is the language of the Fae, but in Hythea it's called Riffic, after the world, that the Fae world. Its name is Riffic. You do sort of hear broken things, and with that perception check, you realize that these are little Fae. And you hear just like every now and then maybe like a word, just sort of like traveler. Like it's hard to make out. They're like very soft whispers, but Chuck and Chell, you sort of like see them before any of you can also hear them. These little like floating like lights from the river, just like leave like a soft wake and everything. And Chell, you are sort of familiar with these on the Serene, the Siren, the river you're on. At night, sometimes these creatures come out, these little river fae. Sometimes they're called the Daughters of the Siren, or sometimes they're basically little people, little fae to keep company to travelers. They're relatively harmless, but sometimes they'll play pranks, misplace things. People mistakenly call them pixies sometimes. They're just as common as fireflies some nights.
Okay. So would I know that you could just ignore them?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they do often talk and sometimes mock travelers too.
Are they bright?
Every now and then, if one gets close enough, you would hear before you would maybe see the change in light, because they do sort of make a sort of like a hissing sound when they float through the air. But yeah, every now and then when they get closer, when they speak, their light sort of like bellows a little bit loud, brighter,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay.
Do not pay any mind to them. They are just little thingies on the water. They like to mock people and cause problems, but not too big of problems for us to just ignore them.
Boy, do not try to eat one, please.
Just immediately turning head sideways after it was looking off the boat at all of them, about to go and probably try to catch one,
Mm-hmm.
But you do see some of them just sort of about 3 of them, because they do sort of blink out and then reappear in different areas like fireflies,
Mm-hmm.
But then a few of them you hear. About 3 of them just sort of land on Chuck, just sort of on your armor, just sort of bobbing around, drifting. You do sort of pick up a few words this guy's huge. you definitely pick something up that's akin to that,
Mm-hmm.
but also let's prank him. let's play they're planning something. They're scheming,
Rosalie makes note of it. She doesn't say anything, just going in. She's like, okay.
So they sort of all 3 of them just sort of blink out, disappearing from Chuck. Mitchell, make a either Arcana or Religion check. Up to you. Actually, no, this would be a History or Religion for you.
I will do religion. Well, they're the same number, never mind. I'll do religion. 21.
21. You have heard the legends pretty well, and even done some reading into it, but these little spirits, called dashers or water dashers, sometimes is what they're called. It's said that they blink in and out of the Fey realm and Hythea. They go back and forth between Riffic and Hythea. And so when they blink out, they disappear, but when they reappear, some bring something with them. As you're sort of thinking about that, you look back to Chuck where they all went dark. all of a sudden these three lights just sort of appear above his head, and they just sort of like drop this like they have an object with, and that just sort of falls out in this little bit of like almost like a clump, like a little spore ball from a mushroom, sort of pops on like your head, just sort of lands and sort of releases these sort of like glittering, almost sparkling, glistening spore like dust that just sort of falls. Make a Constitution save for me.
Is there any sort of like smell or anything that comes
Oh
from it?
yeah,
Oh.
it's pungent. It's
19.
sour. 19. Your nose sort of scrunches, but like you also expertly don't breathe it in as it just sort of falls down. It does sort of have the faint smell of a skunk though.
I was kind of
You just got one in your hand, or here, better yet, make a dex check for me real quick.
Would it be grapple?
Actually, yeah, we could say it's athletics. Yeah.
That's correct. Another 19.
Oh shit! Like the three just sort of. You just got one in your hand, and you see
No.
you see the lights just sort of no. They all just sort of fly away, leaving you alone for the rest of the night.
That is kind of a good look on you.
It is like a silver sort of
But
dust.
you stink.
Yeah,
Prestidigitation. Takeaway stink.
Just sort of pops off of him.
I'm not the only one with it. Why don't you use it more often?
I do. Sometimes.
The night comes to an end. Next day comes. Eventful travel, but by the end of that day, you know, about the next morning, you'll be in Applin, and it comes. The sun rises. As you sort of come down the river, you begin to see a little bit more traffic as people coming away or heading towards even the same direction. Further down the river, you can see a boat sort of with you, you know, but eventually you do sort of like arrive at this sort of like river port, you know. The river does widen here, the Siren, but there is sort of like a set of buildings, like large set of 3 buildings that sort of sit on the edge of the river, and there's like a dock, like a boardwalk that they sort of sit on halfway, and a bunch of docks that sort of stretch out into the river here. You see some little boats, big boats, even some subtle houseboats like yours, like some smaller, quainter houseboats, you know, but you see like a little pulley crane that sort of loads some crates onto a barge as it's about to move. But this is Applin's little port. You can see up the hill on the left side of the river, the town of Applin, you know, sort of out of the floodplain area, but just sort of raised up high enough, not more than a 30-minute walk up this clear hill in, well, it's probably more like 20 minutes, but yeah. But as you pull in, sort of bringing your boat to the side, you do see a bridge that crosses the river. It's more like a set of like a stone bridge that has like a raised sort of like wooden platform that they can pull up, you know, on either side, like a drawbridge. But it is a pretty good feat of engineering for where this river widens, you know. But there's better ones, you know. But as you park, Dockmaster comes by. It's been a long time since you parked in Applin, so I don't think you probably recognize anyone. But just this sort of this gnomish woman walks up, sort of has her hair put into a braid that comes down the side, has some spectacles on, wearing some nice work attire, walks up. Welcome to Applin. Can I help you?
Hello, I'm wondering if I could park here for how long do you think the whole thing will take? We'll be walking for about, just for safety, a week. Or so.
I see. Well, you can park here for as long as you pay for. We even have a bit of a waiting dock area over there. You can see like there is a bit of a cut in, like a man-made, or in this case mortal-made, but a man-made like inlet where a bunch of boats are probably parked like full-time, you know. We can store your boat there, we can store it here, but we'll probably move it over there if you're gone for a week. Are you asking to pay up front?
Yes.
Sort of like pulls up this like little book out of this side satchel, flips through it, goes to, it looks like a ledger, you know, or like a list of some sorts. But I would say, sort of takes a second. There's a bit of recognition on her face looking at you for a second. You pick up. What's your insight again?
My insight is 10.
10. Just pick up recognition.
This is for my. These two are my companions. This is actually for a job through one of the towers. The Lost Lantern. It is specifically for tied to the university. MIT.
Is it the committee job?
Yes.
Roll persuasion for me. This may persuade her to give you a better deal or a better place to park. Who knows? What'd you roll? 4. Well, Appleton is a very busy town. We don't have as big a port as they do in the big city of Dale, so apologies if we can't accommodate you for what you want.
That is completely okay. That is completely alright, and I can absolutely understand. I'm just curious as to how much roughly would it be to pay up front? I'm not doing like a partial or anything. I'm paying for a week, and if we come back and it has been longer than a week, I will of course compensate that.
Do you need refueling? Do you need supplies as well?
Probably just refueling, but I will wait on it until we come back. So
Very well.
it doesn't just sit in there.
Very well. Closes her ledger. Let's just say 8 silver for the week, and I'll give you an extra good spot. And she sort of smirks.
Thank you. It is very much appreciated.
But yeah, no, she sort of gestures where you park, and you do pull up your boat over there. The dockmaster recognized you. You don't know if she's a fan or not, but she takes the silver, and for a week, 6 days in High Thea time. Yes, fun fact.
Fun fact.
6 days in a week, 30 days in a month, 360 days in a year. But yeah, pull over, get everything set up. You have a spot. Your boat is parked. It is a secure dock. It is guarded, from what it seems. And entry is marked by a ticket that you are given.
Awesome. I will add that to my inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not have any way to like not look like the famous actress Ichel Ako?
Oh, I do have many options actually.
Maybe that would be a smart idea because not everybody is your biggest fan.
I imagine she actually does have ledgers and she's writing it down.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Sure.
the truth.
You act as if I do not have some kind of mental guard against that. And I know we might get into trouble because of it, but I want you to rest assured I will be alright. We will be alright because I have things that you do not know about. She walks away.
You're also looking like you're dripping money and people will take advantage of you.
Oh.
Mike. Okay. But as you get parked, you get everything that you need for the long walk. And you set out on the road. You do have to sort of cross the bridge, but it sort of gets lowered every time a larger boat isn't heading under it.
I make sure to take certain clothing items with me.
Of course. Are you guys looking to also get mounts, or are you just going to go ahead and walk it?
Probably just walk it.
Probably walk out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I change my shoes.
good idea. Walking in your heels, although just down the dirt road. You do have a few more hours of daylight, so you might as well use them. I'm not staying in Appleton, but you guys do head out into the wilds. You do eventually come to the point, though, where the sun begins to set. You pass by a interesting marker, a stack of rocks with a rock with a round hole on top of it, sort of set up. So it's like a stack of rocks and then a hole put in a rock. It's not a perfect donut shape, but like it has a hole through it. Now,
Can any of us roll to see, like, do we reckon, like, is that something that we would know what it is?
I would say, yeah, but as the sun has begun to set and you're sort of like looking over this, it might ring a bell to some of you. For you, Chuck, you can roll survival for me. In this case, Chell, you can actually roll a religion check.
That's another 19.
Oh my god.
What is up with you?
I rolled 2 13s, which both had a +6, and then an 18, which is a +1.
Dirty
So-
20.
Oh wow. Okay, so you both understand what this is, but in different contexts. Chuck, from your travels, moving quite a lot and always being on the move until you sort of settle down somewhere, you have come across these. These are markers for sort of haven sites, like sanctuary sites, like little like campsites, basically campgrounds. But they're marked by a specific sect of like nomadic sort of people. You I've met one or two in your travels, but these are sort of sometimes they're just called pathfinders, but they follow this belief of traveling, telling stories. They're called the voices of the road, they're called storytellers, different things, but they mark these paths to mark like safe spots to camp, stuff like that. Chell, from your perspective, what you have happened upon is in the same context. You do understand that these are marked by voices of the road, far travelers, pathfinders, and everything, but there's sort of like nomadic faith is also like a philosophy that you learned about. You were told stories about these people. They travel all across this continent, the continent of Heracor, down the roads. They know a lot of them. Some of them even get tattoos of roads on their bodies, so they have a map that can't go away. One story specifically comes to your mind, specifically of a text that your father read to you way back when, of a far traveler marking these places with these towers of stones, marking resting sites. But every once in a while, there's a rounded stone with a hole in it, placed atop as a special sign. In this sort of philosophic sort of lifestyle/faith that they live by, this also means sort of like a place of rest, but also rejuvenation, a place where supply is hidden for travelers on the road. Food, maybe resources, or a stash for those in need.
Chell looks around just to see if there's any other physical marker.
Perception check.
Why are you stopping?
There should be a supply cache somewhere nearby. Based on the specific rock formation that we are seeing at the moment. If there's by the Pathfinders, I don't see anything. It was a 4.
Yes, somewhere around here probably is some sort of cache. There's also probably a flat area of soft grass or something to actually camp at, like right off the road somewhere.
Can Rosalie try, like, doing a few different things? She's gonna actually try to see if there's anything buried, so like when she moves around, if there's anywhere that's like squishier than normal.
Yeah, sure, actually, yeah.
And have Ori looking around in
Yeah.
the trees and like in the bushes to see if Ori sees anything.
Separate perception checks, please.
Please is a 7.
So a 7 and a...
I didn't see.
A 3.
The
No,
luck...
sorry, 6.
Down this way, the luck is not great.
No, it's not.
Chuck's got all the luck.
I rolled 1 good high roll. No, 2.
Yeah.
I rolled
Well, I mean,
2.
you did roll a 20 and a natural 19 earlier, so that's true. But yeah, in this case, as you're looking around, you do have, it's not too far off the path. I will say you do stumble upon the sort of clearing area as you're sort of like listening, sort of getting a good feel of the area, and also with your particular connection, the magic in the area. From your teachings, magic is always present in the air. You just can't see it. It's everywhere at all times. And as you're sort of like feeling out, a fly lands on your nose and you just can't get rid of the flies. It just starts bugging you. You get all like annoyed and you just sort of like move around, try to get this fly off of you. And also you happen upon the clearing of like soft rubbery grass, you know. It's a wider space, about 15 feet in diameter, you know. Nice place, about 50 feet off the path. If you lay down, no one can see you, you know. But yeah, you don't find a cache. And Ori in the air just sort of flies over. Doesn't have as much luck either, you know, but can confirm that you are in a clearing. Yeah.
Well, I did not find anything hidden, so I don't know if maybe that has been taken. But there's a clearing over here at the very least.
Yes, so it is common to have this type of symbol to signify a safe campground. It's just that I just remember my father telling me that this specific symbol has a cache, but I guess you're right, it could have already been taken and hasn't been resupplied recently. I guess we can just go ahead and, if you guys would prefer, to a sit-up camp? Or do we want to keep moving on to hopefully find a take farther? I just know that this place is probably the safest for us to camp first.
You do have about an hour left of light, but this one,
I think that we should probably stop for the night because it does take a little bit to get set up as well. I have a bedroll and a tent.
Oh, that's nice.
So she starts bringing out her tents. If either of you would like to help, Ori and I have put this up before by ourselves, but it is not an easy task.
Yeah, Chuck, you help. Not an issue at all. Give me a strength roll, actually, just for fun of it. Strength check.
Can you break it?
Please don't.
Wow. Just straight strength.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, I'm still rolling pretty good because that's a 22.
So it's like at one point, like the first tag, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna go too hard. So you just put your hand in and you just sort of, you just flatten it to the ground. It's in, but like you make it flat with the ground. You have level with the ground. You're like, oh shit.
Did you feel that?
Okay, I cannot feel.
No, that made a ripple in the ground now.
Seismic activity.
That was a tiny tremor.
I heard a lot of thud. That is not all I heard.
He made the damn pig level with the ground.
Please do not break my tents. It is the only tent I have, and I do not want to have to buy another one.
I think I should be able to repair the pegs if they get broken, but it shouldn't hurt the tent.
As you sort of get it all set up, are you guys collecting firewood? Do you plan on making a fire, or?
No, Rosalie's not.
Okay.
Is this not cold? Is it
Well,
cold?
it's spring. It is, just for fans out there, the month of Jolican or Jolican, which is just the start of spring. So there are still some cold nights, you know. However, you know, he's a space heater, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Space
It's up to
heater.
you.
Space heater fuzzy.
If you have a bedroll, you won't die in the middle of the night. Is what I'm saying. Like you won't have hypothermia.
Yeah, I got a bedroll.
Okay.
So your tent's probably not big enough. It's either a 1 or 2% tent.
It's a 2% tent.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is just one of me, so.
I mean, yeah, it'd
Um,
probably be
side.
you two,
Yeah.
and then Trevor
Because
on
I
that
don't
side.
have a tent, but I do have a bedroll.
I mean, you're welcome to stay in the tent. It's a 2% tent. And she's tiny.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3-person.
That's a 3 Rosalie tent.
I also find it just hilarious because of Rosalie's antlers. She can only sleep on her stomach or back.
No, because they come out this way.
Oh, okay.
They're that way, so she can lay on her
Yeah,
sides. She
yeah.
can't lay on the front.
Okay. A special chin pillow to lay in your stomach. But yeah.
It'd be so uncomfortable.
It
Does she sleep like curled up like a deer?
She probably does. She
So cute.
honestly, she probably sleeps like this, and then like Ori sleeps in the middle.
Oh.
That's so cute. At one point, you would probably see, when you ask, like, have you got any bedrolls or anything? Chell turns around, disappears for a second, and her necklace falls to the ground. She comes back about 7 minutes later and has just so many blankets.
I mean, she wouldn't have asked because
Mm-hmm.
she has bedrolls and blankets.
Yeah.
But she probably would have made sure that you guys had some.
Where did you just go? Why did your necklace fall to the ground and you disappeared?
Oh, I have a pocket dimension. Blink, 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 blink. Anyway, I'm going to.
Just a normal
She
Tuesday.
bakes the
What
most
are you?
Famous.
a woman.
I've heard of that kind of magic, but it is not one that I have seen quite frequently.
Oh, you mean the warlock thing, like the?
Oh,
What
you're a
kind
type of
fish-
warlock.
What kind of magic have you seen frequently?
Wizards?
You've seen wizards. How long have you been blind?
Chuck,
Oh.
you cannot
Hey,
just ask people how long they have been blind.
Does a 21 hit?
Yeah.
You see as she rears up and kicks you as hard as she can. Which, it doesn't do a lot. That's 4 damage.
In your shin.
I feel like that was a pretty fair question, actually, considering some people aren't born blind, and you said you've seen that type of magic before, so...
I was born semi-blind. But the terms seeing and things like that, blind people use them too.
Yeah, but... Still seemed like a fair question.
In this moment, you realize he's serious. Yeah.
I have seen in my life when I was very young. Not recently though. It has been well over a decade. But when I say that, I mean I have encountered it. I can feel magic, I can smell, I can hear, I can taste, I can feel. I just cannot see, but when I say see, I do not mean that I can see them visually. I see it in other ways.
Alright.
I hope you don't mind. She comes out of the tent. I made a lovely little nest in there. I'm going to sleep.
You left enough room for Ori and I, correct?
She, come on in.
She goes into the
You
tent.
probably feel the softest blankets
Second
you've ever
wind.
felt in your whole life, and they're very plush. This girl's got weighted blankets.
Rosalie does shut up at this point. She's like, okay, I'm not gonna play. I'm gonna play with this one.
Back to full health with second wind.
Just sort of. Yeah, what does your second wind look like, actually?
Just...
Coughs.
There's only 4 damage, so I just kind of like...
Crack your
like,
knuckles.
I guess it'd be my ankle, but I just kind of like crack my ankle a little bit.
Yeah, just stretch your joints.
Crack it back into place.
Yeah.
You
Fix
used your second win for 4 damage.
I mean,
We're about
I
to
could have rolled
We're
I
level
could have
1.
rolled a 1, so...
Yeah.
That's true.
Babies. So, as you guys sort of get ready for a rest, setting on no fire, but do you decide to have a watch?
I'm assuming yes.
Yeah, sure.
I'm guessing Chuck starts it considering the 2 of them went into the tent.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're just like, oh, he'll do it.
He's first watch.
Yeah. He can't fit in the tent anyways.
He's the one that's hired as a god.
That is true. That was literally what he was paid for.
Chuck, would you like a blanket?
I've got bedroll. I'll be fine.
Just like
Okay.
absolutely 3 bedrolls stitched together.
Are you going to take second watch or do you want me to take it?
I can do second. Chuck, make sure to wake me up at the end of yours.
Alright.
And I will do the one after that. You do see Ori is like kind of pawing at the blankets. Very cat-like and just kind of curls up in like this little itty bitty ball.
Little guy.
Love it. As you guys find rest, Chuck just sort of like sitting out there, looking at the clearing above, looking around. You can see that all the stars shine above. The single moon of Hythea in the sky above, it gleams a brilliant sort of like, it's like in shift. Hythea's moon sort of shifts between a very, very light purple to a very, very light blue throughout the year, you know. Almost like a lavender to like a baby blue, you know. Right now it's sort of in its bluer look, and it sort of has a smooth covering of, well, clouds. The moon of Hythea, called More, in most tongues, just More. Stories said it didn't always have clouds, or it wasn't always covered, but since you've been around, it has this sort of brilliant, smooth texture to it, almost like a perfect, fluffy ball in the sky. And its pale blue light just sort of gleams across the night sky. The stars twinkle. It's peaceful. Night bugs are out. The chittering of spring insects, getting ready for summer, for more of their kind to arrive. Every now and then you see a firefly just sort of blink, blink, blink. About 7 hours out of Applin, you're pretty out in the middle of nowhere. So you just sit there. I swear you hear something. Make a perception check. Like a little movement or something. Clattering.
Ah, there we go. 3.
This moment, like, turn towards that sound. Don't see anything. However, with your sort of dark vision, and with the twinkling of the stars, the very bright moonlight. It isn't a dark night, so to say, but it is a moonlit night. Not full moon though yet. But you do see, you turn towards, over the trees, you can see the massive mountains of the Draco Peaks, just sort of becoming black nothingness, blocking out the rest of the stars on the horizon. These sort of crowned peaks, just looming over the countryside. But you don't recognize the source of the sound. You turn back, and in front of you, a fire just sort of crackles and hisses. A fire. A fire wasn't lit before. Sort of like, look down at where you're standing. You're standing in a muddy area, sitting on a log. Sort of, in this moment, just sitting, looking at the fire, cleaning your weapon. You just sort of raise your glove. You're tired, it's been a long day. You just sort of raise your glove, your hand. The redness turning a deep brown, crackling dust, drying blood on your glove.
Am I able to notice that this is an odd situation for me to be cleaning a weapon?
No, it seems normal to you.
Okay.
But then it seems unnatural. Then you start to feel almost like this is like a nightmare, like a dream. So you just see the blood and you can't get it off your hands. It's on your blade, and you just feel this like anger in you, you know, this frustration. And you hear that jangling, that banging sound, that tink, like that thing that you heard earlier, that clattering. It's blade on blade, it's metal clashing, fighting. And then you sort of like come out of it as you're just sort of back in the moment. You can't tell if you just fell into like a little bit of a slight dream, like you were daydreaming, but you just like refocus. You look at your hands. Clean. Look at the ground around you. Soft grass. Look at the sky. The stars twinkle. You think you were just daydreaming.
Okay. There's not a fire there now, right?
No. Just the way the camp was. Though you do look back towards the mountains that block out the stars. Shadows looming on the horizon. Your watch is uneventful.
Okay. I'm just gonna take a look around, sort of not really in the flat area, but just try to look over, see if there's any of the grass around us that wasn't fine before that might be fine now if something else approached. But if not, then I'm just gonna wake up. I think so.
It's all clear. So you move over to the tent, sort of peek in, you just see blankets on blankets on blankets, and you just see a chill, just sort of burritoed.
Yeah.
You know. You tap her, what do you do?
Yeah, I'll just kind of
It's you have watch now.
Alright. She slinks out.
I might still sleep outside, depending on how big the tent is.
Yep.
She thinks for a moment. She asks God a telepathic message.
Beep, boop, bop, 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 bop. Yeah, it is heading towards full, so it is a waxing sort of. It's not full yet, but it's getting there.
She just comes out. It's a nice little pile of blankets she doesn't really care about, probably. She probably brought a specific mat that would be for outside. She could
Probably.
just- and then slides out an umbrella and just and waits.
You just sort of sit around. Make a perception check for me, actually, since it is a watch. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
I'm watching.
Yeah. Watching good. Must watch. Actually, sorry, it was a waning moon, not a waxing, but it is like halfway, you know. Just sort of sit back.
Just wanted to know how like bright it was outside.
Not too bright, but you could definitely see the little bit of dim light, especially in this clearing, but under trees, pitch black, you know. See the starlights, see the mountains in the distance. But Rosalie, as you dream, as you sort of come to rest, snuggle up in this blanket. I mean, it's amazing. So warm, so soft. Are you an open mouth sleeper?
No.
No, come on. No. Yeah, no. Just sort of sleeping in your dreams. They're usually fun, you know. You're not too stressed out sometimes, you know.
It's one of the only times that she can actually see.
Yeah.
Like, she could actually see in full color, see the things around her.
Almost like, in different ways, it's like your dreams are fed by those memories of when you could still see more. And there are a lot more sensations to the touch, the smell, the hearing, you know. Sometimes there are no visions. Sometimes there are. But as this sort of nice dream turns a little sour, you swear in your dream, you're back towards a nightmare you've had before. You begin to hear whooping, calling, howling, sort of. Sort of that horrible whooping, laughing, cackling of gnolls that hunt the southland of Tailend and are in the north, the east, and the west. Sometimes called the Plague of Tailend. These gnoll packs seem to always come back, hiding in the more reserved countryside where they can hide and stay quiet, plunder farms and villages. But in this nightmare, you hear them in the forest. They're sort of chitters, and your spine quakes, your stomach sinks. You curl to a tree, feeling your blood tremble, feeling your body shake as that fear sort of builds up. You realize maybe it's not a dream, and your body, almost like a reaction, wakes up in the tent. You don't hear anything. It's just a nightmare. Then you hear a chill. What's your passive perception?
10.
But that rolls still pretty good. Yeah. You also hear it, chill, but you hear more clear.
Rosalie immediately, like, and, like, literally, like, clambers out of the tent and is like,
I know I hear it too, girl. It's alright.
Where's Chuck? Where's Chuck?
right, just mountain.
Chuck, Chuck. Nose.
So much for safe ground.
As you hear them, you're like waking up. So that was a very sudden thing. I can't imagine it was stealthy, you know.
Yeah.
But you do hear them go quiet. As it's all quiet, sort of like hold yourself steady. Does Chuck sleep in his armor?
He would if he's like outside.
Wait, is it like heavy and medium armor? Or?
Yeah.
So, just a heads up, you can sleep in it, but if you sleep in it too many nights in a row,
Mhm.
you won't recover as much from a long rest.
Yeah. I just figured they're literally outside in the wild.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't supposed to be that long of a trip.
Yeah, so you're like sort of braced already, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
get at. It's like as you're like maybe back to back, circling around the woods, dark lights twinkle, the cold moonlight now that it feels as fear sets in. It's all silent. Each of you make a perception check, please.
Oh, dang.
30-20.
6. 13.
In this moment, Chell, you were on watch, but for a second there you were like, maybe just like sort of thinking about what was going to happen. So it kind of catches you off guard in this moment, you know. Now you're like on full guard, kind of like not in shock, but like you were surprised by this, you know. Rosalie, of course, you're kind of like a little bit spooked, you know. So it's not like helping the fact, you know, as you're looking around, your eyes are like dart, not your eyes, but like
No, they still
That's
would.
true. That's true. Actually, yeah. You are on guard, like you're like on edge. Chuck, you just sort of steady yourself.
I'm
No.
gonna tell you, this might just be like regular hyenas or something.
Yeah, you're not like. Why would you be
She's
afraid?
freaking out over.
Yeah.
whatever.
You just like look around. This moment though, as it's still quiet. The only one to see something is Chuck at first. But before you see it, you hear it. You just hear a soft sort of like moanful. And Chuck, you turn, and you see before everyone else a figure, which is of no height and proportions and does have exposed fur and these long hands that have like those claws, this hyena-like humanoid. But in this case, not barbaric, not monstrous, kind of humorous. As the Knoll, in this case, is donning a sort of like white-gray, tattered, rag-like cloak that it looks like it's patchwork, but it's like over the shoulders, down the sides, sleeveless, drapes in the front and the back, like almost like a poncho in a way, but and it has a hood with these ears sticking out. But also, what's comical about this and almost off-putting, not scary, is the Knoll has a mask on that just sort of looks very, very playful, childish, clownish. The mask looks like a cartoony-ish Knoll face. It's white with like black and like red markings. Those are the only three colors. It's almost like, what is masks? Are they called like kabuki masks? I can't remember. Things. It's very expressionate, but it's like a puckered, like sort of, but like for like a Knoll's jowl, you know, it comes to like a little like pinched lip kind of like smile and has like a little hole in the front, a big nose, you know, big eyes, but it's a mask, you know, little holes where the eyes probably see out of in the pupils of the mask. Chuck, you see it, and everyone realizing that Chuck paused, you turn to where Chuck sees, and you see this figure too. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I'm just gonna step between them and the Knoll just so they don't freak out me, and I'm just gonna try to say to it, do you speak common?
There's this sort of like natural tendency that sort of like bellows up this almost like howl that's coming, you know, but like it's like a yes, just like a hard hiss, like a hard to communicate. In this case, Chell sees it. There's no description yet for you, Rosalie, but you do smell blood. So it still feels like a Knoll to you. But in this case, a Chell and Chuck. Chuck, you can roll survival. A Chell, you can roll history in this case.
She would probably
7.
hear the fabric moving.
Yes, but it's specifically the look of this creature that would be informative. What?
7.
That's fair.
20.
Even with a survival 20.
21.
Ooh, yeah. Even with a survival check, you haven't really known what this creature is. You haven't had an interaction with this creature before. It's more of like a check to see if they're like some sort of predator on the prowl, you know, like a survival check of like if they're gonna attack you, if they're bearing weapons, do they have blood all over them and stuff like that. Are you in danger? You know, natural instinct sort of thing. Trying to gauge what's gonna happen here. In this case, they are as unthreatening as possible. To you, though, Michelle, you are sort of familiar with what this is. This is a knoll. This is a recent, as in the last few decades. They're not too common, but this is a recent development of a knoll. And what I mean by this is called an atoner knoll. Not a different like creature type or a different breed of knoll, so to say. They are a knoll, but they have a unique philosophy that many people don't believe. Like, they don't think they exist. Like, a lot of country folk think of them as myths and legends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But from the cities, people have seen them. They claim to have seen them. You know, they're out there. They're rare.
Like a beardless dwarf.
Yeah, like a beardless dwarf. An atoner knoll is a knoll atoning for the sins of its kind. Historically, they never existed until after the Great War that happened 60 years ago. But atoner gnolls are literally gnolls that starve themselves to avoid killing people. They have a very strange practice, but it's almost like a religious fervor they have. They abstain from eating flesh of creatures, and instead they seek out offerings to quench their thirst. And they seek out other gnolls to convert them to this philosophy. But the reason they wear that mask is so they're not as scary, but also because it keeps their jaws tight. They can't open their mouths unless someone takes off the mask for them, because it's locked in a way where they can't unlock it themselves. Yeah. Very interesting group that you probably didn't really think existed till now. But in this case, there is indeed one sitting in front of you.
Alright. So, we know that we can speak the same language. I am familiar with your people, in a way historical sense. You seek some kind of offering? Are you by yourself?
Yes, but not by choice.
You see one of the hands, that clawed, bony, muscular hand reaches behind its back and pulls from behind some sort of like satchel built a bowl. A bowl with dried blood on it. Gnolls still crave the warm flesh and taste of other creatures. The only way these gnolls survive, as you know, is by consuming blood offered to them willingly. They do not take, to be clear. And you realize this sort of like red, like comedic lipstick around the mask is actually probably just dried blood around the little mouth hole that it has. It's sort of like talking through its lips when it speaks to you.
I see.
Has it been enough time for it to be a short rest?
Yeah.
So, he's looking for blood, and you said he's not there. Are you by yourself, or is there others with you?
If a gnoll could, with a mask, look sad, you see the ears of this hyena-like creature kind of drop a little bit, kind of gets a little lower.
Yes, tragedy struck my group. I have run, and I beg for help.
do see now more clearly, by the way.
Yes.
Even with your limited vision, in this very dark light, you can make out some of the gray or darker marks of the robe that this creature wears. They have darker marks because they're probably dried blood stains. This creature's hurt. Been in a fight recently. And now, Rosalie, more clearly, the smell of fresh blood, not just dried blood, comes towards you. However, this is a speaking role, which maybe settles you a little bit more.
Yes, she is still though back behind
Yeah.
both of them and is like holding her cane and poised to like fight if necessary.
Absolutely.
My group, we live not far. My cloister.
Sort of like reaches the bony hand out and points down the path towards the east. The finger kind of shakes, its long claw in the end.
Attacked we were by creatures strange coming from ruins of the east. My kin, burdened with hunger so great they begun to decay, attacked us. I have nothing, but I ask help.
What sort of creatures? What sort of creatures?
Trying to come up the word sort of comes out as a gaggle, like a nullish term.
Undead.
It's hard to say.
Magical.
Dying.
That's all I can say, it seems.
Between
Nodding to your words. Whisper, 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 whisper.
I don't actually have. I don't have a dagger, but I presume in my smith tools I have some sort of a sharp object.
I have a dagger.
I'll just.
Chuck's got so much blood to give. Just sort of like smells it. There's almost like this like shiver in the back of the spine, you know, some bones pop on this creature. But sort of like, almost like a sad little creature. The gnoll that's probably 6'4", slouches down and crouches and like just allows the bowl to fill up as much as possible. But retracts as soon as you're done. Just sort of fighting off some sort of urge probably to attack. Who knows? These are strange creatures.
I don't know if that does damage or not.
Yeah, probably a point. Single point. Sort of like raises the bowl up. You just hear as the bowl sort of comes down, those red lips on the mask along the snout of this creature. Fresh, brilliant crimson.
thank you.
Looks about you. Maybe taking in what you have with you, you know.
You travel these roads. You head east, do you?
Perhaps.
Probably.
I give you a gift. Thanks. At my cloister's home. Not far east from the greater ruins. We have supplies, treasures. We have traded, and we're trading for food. You take if you wish. I give to you.
This creature seems to be offering you, indeed, treasure as thanks. Somewhere east is where his cloister was before they were killed, as it seems. And there is treasure on your way.
Before you run into anyone else, you may want to find a river, wash off, just to be less threatening.
The hand sort of like goes up to the mask and just sort of like feels along the snout, the jowl, the lips of blood, sort of looks at it in the moonlight. Yes. Sort of turns.
Rosalie gets slowly a little closer, like visibly
The
shaking,
creature stops, just like
and just prestidigitation.
turns towards you. Just sort of the blood, the dried blood, the wet blood, all just turns to like almost dust in the air, disappearing.
And like she's like scurries back behind a shell afterwards.
The creature gives a soft bow and just sort of curls its arm in like that. Thank you. Travel carefully. Those beasts. If I may ask one thing more. If you do the kindness of slaughtering those vermin. Sort of like clenches the hand, the knuckles pop when it says that. Burn my cloister's bodies. The ash will cleanse them completely.
We will keep that in mind as we travel.
Sort of nods. Reaches behind one more time. Pulls out a little sack of something, a little pouch, you know, and tosses it almost expertly. You can see, doesn't expect it, kind of breaks the mood. Was tossing it at Rosalie. It hits her in the forehead.
Oh no.
Wait, actually, sorry. I mean to roll for that. Yeah, it hits you in the forehead. But it's a soft little pouch. It's like a...
She kind of stares at it in her hands as like.
Feels like a little leather pouch.
Just
And as you guys look at it,
yes. Looking at it.
the creature's gone. Quietly left.
Is there anything in the pouch?
As you open the pouch, so look through it. There is indeed a key, probably to a chest in this location, but also a little stone, a little colorful gemstone. It's smooth. It's like a very smooth stone. Probably was a part of some big piece of jewelry, but it's a brilliant sort of like orange and red. It's not very translucent. It's solid. It's beautiful orange and red. Oh.
Alright, well, I guess we have another thing to be wary of and to keep in mind.
Are you alright, Rosalie? You seem frazzled at first.
I do not like nose. I do not like nose. That is all I will say. I do not like nose.
Rosalie, as you're thinking about that, you have red. I'll give you that a little bit. You know, to try to understand the fear, probably give you some knowledge. You do now recognize what you just interacted with as an intoner null. Very rare, but select, small, growing group of nulls that exist on the continent of Heracor.
Oh, I just realized I have to lost it longer because I used the spell.
If you would like, I could offer myself, Chuck, if you want to also get on this. I can go longer if you need to sleep a little longer, okay?
Thank you. I do appreciate it.
Okay.
Not to use that spell.
So you guys come to rest again. Shall roll the final perception check. Be doing 3 segments. So yeah, final one.
7.
Excellent. It's uneventful. As the sun begins to rise in the horizon, as birds fly, and creatures come out of their holes, as the morning comes and the world wakes. Take a break there. We'll be back. And welcome back. All right. You guys head on?
Yep.
Folding the tent, you know?
Yeah, Rosalie's putting her tent up, folding it up, getting it back in her backpack.
Yeah. Sort of walk back onto the path where the marker is, where you saw the stack of stones in the round. This morning, the sun is particularly hot, but the sort of cold air it's mixed to make, there's a lot of humidity right now, a little bit, so there's like a little mist layer on the floor a little bit, you know, in this forest, as you have started to get into a denser forested area, leaving Appleton. But now moving on down this road, eventually the path turns more and more to dirt, less from stone, less traveled. Who's taking the lead, trying to make sure you stay on the right path, or making sure you go left instead of right whenever the trail splits?
I would probably invite Chuck. Perhaps? Yes?
Alright. I'm not really sure.
Or would you like to be in the very back so we could sandwich our dear girl? Dearest
I will take
companion.
the lead. I will take the leads, I guess.
Good, because she looks like a deer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Well, go ahead and give me a survival roll. And this is just like a general all day survival roll, you know.
Net 20. Plus 5.
Ooh.
25.
There's nat 20.
Okay, I like doing this.
She can do this all day.
I like
She
doing
knows how
this.
to walk through woods.
I like it when this
She's a
happens in
deer.
session
Get
0. Yeah. Oh my god.
I will say, you do notice, despite her appearance and like how like posh she seems, she does seem relatively comfortable in the woods. Like she does seem to be able to she doesn't have any issues like, oh, she might trip over like a rock or a stone or like a branch or no, she's fine. She's navigating it stupidly well, actually.
Fair. Okay, because you rolled a nat 20, you do have to roll a d100 for me.
Ooh, new things, new fun things.
This might be very special.
That is an 18.
Okay.
What was that look for?
Nothing. As you're traveling, based on what that Knoll said too, eventually you're going to start seeing ruins. You know, that Knoll basically told you that their cloister lived on the outside of the major ruin area, you know. You eventually pass between like two sort of clearings in the thicket. You know, it's not like a thick forest that you're walking by, but there are trees every now and then, hills you have to go over. These are lowlands though. Tailend is hilly but not mountainous, treacherous, not many valleys, you know. But as you're walking on, eventually you do find something that intrigues you. Coming out of a group of trees into a sort of clearing area, sort of stuck, or planted, or just grown over. A machine stuck halfway in the ground. Metal, a construct, a great construct, rusted over for many, many years. Green grass grows on its edges, vines work up its body, and it is ruinous, hollowed out. Creatures live in it. But what you have here is a warrior, sort of massive golem, machine golem, something that historically means a lot to this world. Rosalie, you can sort of smell the rust in the air, and it's like Ori perks up. It looks like a threat, and then you realize, Ori realizes it's dead. If you guys want, you can make a history roll for me.
How did I get the highest out of all of us? 11?
Weird. Okay.
I was like, there's no way this is gonna be good.
Well, as you sort of come across this is obviously based on how you guys see it, how Ori describes it to you, what what you kind of perceive about this is obviously a relic from 60 years ago. Closer to the end of the war of the Machine God, that sort of global great war, as it's sometimes called, that ravaged all of Hythea, left craters, valleys, dead machines like this, corpses of war tanks and behemoths. You don't maybe recognize a make and model. You maybe it rings a bell in a book somewhere you've read, but you're not entirely sure. But it's a lone soldier, just half buried. As you're walking by, you see just a family of squirrels sort of like perk up from one of its eyes. It has two massive eyeglass that would have glass probably in them, but one of them's just shattered open. These little heads pop out from this head, and this thing is like huge, huge. Just an interesting sight on a little bit of an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You continue on. Eventually the day comes to a close, but as you begin to start looking for a campsite, I assume,
Yes.
you do start to take note of the area. You're heading sort of like a northeastern direction, if anything, but like east. You've begun to see half-buried, worked stone in the ground in different areas. A column toppled over here, half-standing wall there, like one massive block of stone that was carved that's sunk in half in the ground. You're beginning to start to see that. Some trees grow over them, some grass and bushes try to consume this worked stone. But you begin to see, as you are approaching a land of ruins, the sheet that was sort of like your quest to go on. It didn't explain just how large the ruins might be or the area around them, but maybe begins to say, it's more of there's probably a central point you need to go to somewhere.
Yeah, she's starting to realize now. She's like, oh, these are a lot bigger than they said they were. Oh, great.
So, Rosalie,
Mm-hmm.
just a question. What are we looking for?
It's a little stone tablet, I believe. I'm realizing that's not a great descriptor with how large these were. I thought with how unspecific they were that they would have given a little bit more detail if it was this big of an area to look at, but...
Does it have useful information on it? Is there any sort of historical significance?
She literally takes out the pamphlet and holds it out to you.
This is like a committee quest board posting, Do you read Velish?
Yes.
Good. As you look it over, you see written in Velish is a committee pamphlet. You are familiar with the Arcanist Committee of Velstia, or just called the Committee for short. These are, it's a lot like a massive fraternity / sorority. It's like that sort of group dynamic, or an adventuring guild specifically for wizards that are in this country. So it's kind of exclusive, but as you look over, this posting is to retrieve from the ruins outside east of Lestron a painted piece, like a piece of artwork of pictograms on a wall. It's a section of a wall that they want specifically.
Is there a descriptor of what should the image look like, or is it go to the image?
There is a
destroy a
description.
historical marker.
Go take this ruins effigy. No. It is a sort of description of a story on a wall. It's a thing. Actually, in this case, you can roll religion for me.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. That's perfect, because as you begin to look at the description, it's basically describing the image of a war, but in the Jotun sort of description. Of course, the Jotun sovereignty being the empire of giants that once ruled these lands. It's an pictographic image, an art piece on a wall somewhere that depicts the death of Frilmox and the end of the Ice Age, the Forgotten Age. That's what they want. That's what the committee's asking you to retrieve. And you also see it's meant to be delivered to Lestron, to a specific address. Based on your studies, your history learned, and the sort of culture you grew up in, and also having a father who was very interested in history itself and religion, this is important because this would probably be in a temple somewhere, or at least in a ruined temple, this depiction of a calamitous event so great.
So, I am very glad they gave you a pamphlet because, based on this description, I think I have a good idea of where we should go. What you're looking for is a pictograph of the death of Philbux, one of the, the ancient white dragon.
Yes.
The end of the Ice Age, that whole thing. It will probably be found inside a ruined temple somewhere here. So we should probably find, out of all the ruins, which one looks the most religious coded.
And just looking in this area, you've only started to see like pieces of small buildings or something. So like you're probably on the outskirts of what used to be some great like city, village, or fort, Giant sized, of course, so it's very spread out, but...
So I believe if we just keep going more inward, we should be alright. And also I did see here that the section that they want is around, your size. A little bit less. So good thing that we brought Chuck.
Yes.
So it's made of stone and stair size?
The way it seems to be described is like essentially a plaster relief that you have to chip off a wall.
Shouldn't be a problem.
And then if we do that, I assume you could carry it since we had to take it to restaurant,
Yes.
which is not too far, of course. And if worse comes to worse, I do have a place we could keep it. We would just have to wait until tomorrow to get it out.
All right then.
That is fun.
So,
Fun. Okay. Are you going to rest now, or are you going to go a little bit further? It's up to you.
Try to look for like maybe an partially intact building.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
so then we can have it kind of as like
covered.
defense
Yeah.
covered.
Some kind of structure.
Yeah, there's a lot of ruin stuff, and people have probably built stuff out here because this is probably a well-picked area, if anything, But
Scavenger's already gone.
exactly. I would say in this moment, roll perception checks for me.
Everyone or just...
Everyone, as you're keeping your eyes out, I assume, unless you are specifically doing something else.
No, okay.
11.
Because you guys are just heading deeper into this area.
That is
What was-
13.
You said perception?
Perception.
18.
So this isn't like a jungle, like the rainforest overgrowing like Aztec temples or anything, but this is like a forest, and it's getting thicker, and there is trees growing on ruins, bushes growing over like rock and rubble, but as you get deeper and deeper in, you sort of see more ruins, less trees. Going further in, maybe like 20 minutes or so past, you do come across more actual structures. One that does seem to be suitable is what looks like an overgrown, once constructed fort. Like a fort not built by the giants, but a fort built later by someone that was staying here for a period of time and maybe like looking around the ruins or something. So there's like wooden posts like driven into the ground, massive logs, spikes. You see them just sort of scattered around some trees and stuff. And you also see ruined structure pieces. And on the ground, in the dirt, you see like almost just blocks of stone laying flat, almost like there once was a road or there once was structures, but they've all been reduced to just the foundations.
Make sure there's no scorpions or something.
Yeah, nothing in there that we need to be worried about, essentially.
As you get a little bit closer, coming through out of the trees into that a little bit more of a clearing area, yeah, you can see it was a constructed sort of little fort, not like built like a military, but like probably a group of vagabonds or people that don't really do carpentry. You do see a shield and sword laid out by themselves. It's either been abandoned for some time or recently, but you don't hear anything.
No real need to set a fire, I would say.
Probably not. Do we want to try to set up the tents?
It wasn't too hard to deal with last time, so...
Here, you can do the tents, and I'm going to cast this since we are getting closer to
Are you going to go inside the fort to set up the tent, or on the outside?
inside.
Okay.
I'm going to set this up kind of around the area where it's going to be, so then we can have a little bit of extra protection. She's actually gonna go and ritual cast alarm around the tent, so it's like centered on like where the tent is.
As you're doing that, because it does take a process, you know, you have to use a thread and everything, sort of set up in key areas. As you're getting your tent set up, as you're just like moving stuff out of the area, you do see that there's remnants of people that once lived here. There's a table, there's a chest. There's also, as you begin to set up an alarm, some leaves you kind of push aside. There's bodies. And you sort of smell the blood now that the leaves and mud is off of them, Rosalie. And as you're like sort of now putting your stuff down, I would say you guys begin to notice them too. Blood on some of the logs. You realize as maybe you guys also find like these other bodies almost simultaneously, you know. If the camera's cutting between you guys, you all just brush them off and you see them. These are dead gnolls. Dead atoner gnolls. And you realize where you are now. You've happened upon the cloister that was slaughtered of atoner gnolls.
Maybe we do need to set a fire.
Yes, we do.
And Rosalie. And you hear something with your excellent hearing, a sort of clattering, like bones moving, rubbing against each other. And you realize also, Echel, you see the same thing. What you thought was a corpse actually begins to stand up as you see a decaying, shriveled skin, worn rib cage showing, dying gnoll. And it picks up a stick with sharp bones on its side, and it lunges at you.
This is 1
Yeah,
second.
okay. No. I think it's time. I think it's time for our fight. This is what I have for you.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Is it actual like?
You guys are in the little fort
Oh
right
my
there.
god!
We have minis for the camera, Alright, I'm by the chest. That's where my ass was.
This is the one that you saw rise up in front of you, Rosalie, right there, or you heard rise up in front of you, right there. And this one came up, like basically was hanging up the wall and is now right here next to Jill.
Excellent.
You see these creatures rise up. They sort of hiss, crack their jaws. That seems like they're trying to breathe, but whatever air they're pulling in is going into like wheezing hole-filled esophaguses, making this hissing sound. But as they stand there and look at you, and one lunges at a chill, I'm just gonna roll to hit first.
I'd say that fence is really well painted.
I know, right? It's almost like someone had a hand in making or painting these fences. Does a 15 hit you?
Yes.
It takes this spiked bone club and just sort of just like swings it at you as it sort of jams the sharp bones, and you realize it's made out of bones. These are rib bones
Really?
that are puncturing you. Yeah,
Wow.
it's not great. It's not a good time. Not a good time at all. I wouldn't bother with it. Shell, you take 6 damage, 6 piercing damage as the club just sort of pierces into your shoulder, and it's going to try to swing it again as you sort of like lunge back. That is a 9. As it sort of swings at you, you sort of like step back, I guess.
Yeah, take 2 steps back.
Now let's roll initiative as these witherlings are coming to kill. So we have 25 to 20. Okay, good. No, not good. 20 to 15. Oh my. Okay. 15 to 10.
Yeah, 13.
Okay. You know what? Good for you. Good for you. Not 10 to 5? 8.
9.
Okay.
Being a real good bodyguard here.
Yeah, right.
On the opposite side from both of the squishy spells casters.
Okay.
There was an audible squish
Yep.
on the gel.
So as you guys, Shelly, get hit in the side, they sort of raise their sticks, about ready to attack again. But yeah, with your perception though, this up close, you can smell the decay on them. But all of you can smell the decay. However, I will say though, you do see something in the throat of this creature that doesn't look like bone or anything. It's like deep in the back, but it's sort of like, I'll tell you what, it just looks like weird. It's not bone, it's not flesh, something else. But yeah, okay, in this moment, we have to chill first. Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
I mean, these are undead creatures, they're not that fast.
Eldritch Blast.
It is with disadvantage, though, being within 5 feet.
Yeah.
Can you see inside?
Oh,
the
that was
fort on
217,
the
so
back cam?
21.
Yeah.
21.
21? Okay. That hits. Roll damage.
5 force damage here.
5 force damage, okay.
Here. Like,
Yeah.
that wall's still there, but we can now, because I couldn't see into it either myself.
Fair. Well, as you hit that creature, you just blast a hole into its ribcage, and bones just sort of shatter out the back, leaving a whole gap in its shoulder. Its arm kind of like slouches, but it's still standing. But that was good.
Disgusting vermin. This is that place that they were talking about. I'm just gonna,
Skedaddle away
Are you
from
like
me.
behind Chuck? Or just next?
Remember the opportunity attack that was
yeah,
Oh,
because I'm like right here,
It's true.
and he's right here, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you're moving away anyway.
Yeah. I'm not gonna risk it simply because of how squishy and my HP's not good right now.
Fair. The one next to Rosalie, though, goes ahead and acts immediately after you finishing that. The creature just sort of stands up. You can finally feel it take its full height, Rosalie, as it looms over you, its bones popping and rattling against each other. Its jaw sort of clenches and closes. But it's almost like it has that choking sound, like hissing sound I heard before. But you just feel for a second the tension, nothing happens. And then Ori sort of like alerts you in your brain as all of a sudden this club starts coming down with force. That is a 18.
Yeah, that hits.
The club comes down on you, striking you for another 6, oh, not you for another, but you for 6 damage. 6 piercing damage. We'll try to hit the little dragon guy on your shoulder. I'm just saying because Ori's next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't hit, probably because it's a smaller creature. Because that is a
Rosie,
7.
it was nice meeting you.
Yeah.
It's nice meeting
We're
you.
both dying.
Good game. Good game.
Good game, everybody.
Good game.
We're both dying. Yay.
With a 7, it does not hit Ori though. I like to think that Chuck is just now turning around, seeing all this. No.
And we're just
Man.
like, ah!
But after that knoll, it is your turn. The knoll that just hit you was in front of you.
I don't want to risk running away, but also I don't want to be next to that again. That's a disadvantage. I'll take disadvantage.
Okay.
11.
11. Does not hit. Yeah. And you sort of like go for it. This creature sort of like, just like its spine kind of snaps to the side as it's sort of trying to avoid
It
things.
It breaks its own
She does
spine
use
to avoid it.
Firebolt, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Wait, isn't that a deck save?
No.
No, it's dead. That's right. That's right. Yeah. No fireball. Okay.
Fireball!
Rosalie. what?
Fireball!
But yeah. Okay. Immediately after that, we have Chuck.
Alright, let me actually.
Please, Chuck,
Let me
somehow.
actually see this. a little bit.
Chuck him. Chuck him, please.
If I grapple the knoll, can I drag the knoll through another player's space?
No.
Okay. 10, 15. I'll try to grapple this one.
Okay. So you
Just
run
like
up.
that tactic.
The one that was fighting Rosalie, right?
Or Joe.
Oh.
Joe.
Okay, the one that's fighting
One
Joe.
between the two of them.
Gotcha.
So grapple check. That's a 26 or 23. Sorry.
I mean, hey, even a natural 19 minus 1 isn't good enough. So yeah.
Yeah, no. So this one's now grappled. I'm gonna move half speed. So.
As you sort of like grapple it, you kind of squeeze it a little too tighter than you would expect to, and its ribs kind of just crushed under your weight. You have to, and you're like, oh, okay.
Just tuck it in more.
Yeah.
So I have 10 feet left, and I'm also going to bonus action dash towards the other one with
Yes.
my work thing.
Okay.
Adrenaline rush. So it's 40 more feet, which is really just 20. That'd be 5, 10, and then I basically just use the last bit of movement to drag this one sort of here, I guess. Just like
You put it to one space over, so it's
well,
not.
the wall's still there.
Oh, true.
I guess I can actually just go that way, which might invoke an opportunity attack, but I'm not really that
I will
worried
say,
about
you're probably strong enough. If you really wanted to, you could truck one of these walls and probably knock it down.
Hey, go.
Yeah, wait, why don't you just run
But
over
like
him?
he's dragging someone. That's
Would
also
it-
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
Throw him
Also,
in
we're probably still gonna stay here, so like.
Yeah. Don't want to mess up the structure too much, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll just drag through that one, and I think that one of them might technically have an opportunity to attack if they want to use it, but.
Yeah, I think he would. Okay. That is a 10.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No shot.
no, don't think so. Just
You know what? If you want, because of how I had to drag him, he was in front of me, and I think I would have been flanked. So if you want the advantage, you can go for it.
You dragged that?
I don't think that would count in this
Okay.
case. I think you're
You want him to hit you, don't you?
I want him to try with advantage and fail.
Oh.
After Chuck, we have the second knoll, the one that you're dragging.
Oh, okay. He takes a D4 damage.
Yep.
3 damage bludgeoning from my grapple.
You just like crush him. Even like one of his arms just sort of like bends backwards. You know. He's gonna go ahead and just like he's gonna start snapping at you. Hum.
I should ask, do these ones still have their masks on, or do they
These
fall
aren't
off
a
because they
toner
die?
knolls. You'll notice that. I will say. These aren't like the toner knolls that have been changed. The toner knolls, their corpses still have their masks on.
Okay.
These knolls were like face down, and you realize they were probably trying to eat the corpses of the gnoll.
Oh, okay.
The other knolls. But yeah, no, these are just wearing rags, tethered, armor, bloodiness. They do have some sort of like leather strap across their body, but honestly, you're in the middle of combat.
So these are just like regular gnolls that were undead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Taking the first bite at you is 12.
To hit?
Yeah.
No.
Trying to bite. You use your branded gauntlets. You know.
It's like perfectly aimed at the
The
camera
hammer.
to where we can see the brand.
Yeah, you can.
know?
Yeah, B in the hammer. You know. But the second one, surprisingly, good for him, is a 19.
That is my armor class.
I know, right? Oh gosh. Oh wow. Okay. 3 piercing damage. As just sort of munch. It's necrotic damage if that matters. But nom. Just sort of munches. Like the first bite misses, but then goes right for your hand and actually gets like some fingers. And you sort of like just throw him off. Okay. After the Noel, it's Ichel's turn.
Okay, so not cool. I can see over Rosalie.
Are you using me as a shield?
No, I'm trying to use your antlers as a target.
Sight.
Not because I could just out of character. I can like see.
Yeah, you can
over
see
Rosalie. I
over
can.
Rosalie.
Can I go over her like?
Yeah. In this case, they're right. You're shooting through someone that's right in front of you. So yeah, you can go over their shoulder.
It's more like I'm doing this.
Yeah, no, like what I'm saying, they won't block you. Shot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Roll the hit.
Shrimp blast.
Is it the one?
9.
Doesn't hit. But are you aiming for the knoll that?
Yeah, I'm aiming
These
for
ones?
this one.
Oh, okay. Does not hit.
So I'd be
Yeah, the
like
other one
right
probably
here.
has cover.
Yeah. Pew pew. Yeah, the other one would. But yeah, okay. So in this case.
I also get out one of. Can I
Mhm.
get out one of my knives, but not do
Yeah.
anything with it? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, is that it for your turn?
Yes.
Awesome. So the other knoll, the first knoll that hit Rosalind, the one that you just missed, is just going to sort of click its spine back into place as it was like sort of dodging. It's purposely breaking itself to maneuver, but it's gonna go ahead and just like reach out with its jaws on Rosalie. It's trying to get some of that flesh, you know. But as it reaches out with its mouth to bite, a natural one does not do anything. However, the second bite might hit. Maybe. It is a 17.
She will cast shield as a like translucent butterfly like appears right where it's about to hit. Smack into it.
So as you created this beautiful butterfly, its jaws are open like wide, and just kind of slams against the glass-like structure. And like the shield kind of cracks a little bit, and its teeth kind of sink into it, but honestly, can't get through it. It sort of pulls back. Okay. After that, it is Rosalie's turn.
Okay. She's gonna try to hit it with firebolt again because she's terrified to run away from it.
Fair.
Well, it's not. No matter what I roll, I can't get anything. It was a nat 1.
This is F in the chat. Even with that, your magically enhanced blind sight, you're firing. You can sense and hear and smell the creature in front of you, but its spine just keeps on going. You know? So, pew! Eldritch Blast. Pew! You know, this guy, pretty
From
nimble
a
for...
rotating pivot.
Yeah,
you know?
this guy's pretty nimble for a dead guy, you know? Dead Knoll. Okay, so after Rosalie, we have Chuck again.
Okay.
That knoll, that undead knoll you're holding, it's just like, it's just like going crazy.
Walk back this way a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Still just like holding that one like by the face or whatever. I'm just gonna kick the other knoll that's been attacking Rosalie. Unarmed strike. That's a natural one as well.
Oh
I
no,
passed it to
okay.
you.
That's all I got.
But it is the start of the next knoll's turn that you're grappling.
Actually, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Can I use 2-weapon fighting with my
The
unarmed
knoll?
strikes?
I would say since you're holding one knoll with one arm, you probably only have the other arm free. And
Well,
usually
I have the
two-weapon-
shield and knoll, but I did a kick for the unarmed strike, so can I just...
I would say no.
Okay.
Because it is like finesse weapons.
Then that
that do
is,
it.
in fact,
Yeah.
the end of my turn.
Okay. But it is the start of the knoll's turn you are grappling.
Yes.
You're still crushing it?
4.
Okay.
4 damage.
You just like sort of grappling it, it's like wiggling out, and then you grab its neck just to hold onto it, and you squeeze too tight, and you realize that you just crushed its neck, and its head falls off to the side. The knoll slumps down.
Ah.
Its body turns into a pile of bones. You kill that knoll witherling.
Love being able to damage with the grapple.
But the other knoll next to it just sort of almost like perceives the death and almost, if an expression on a dead knoll skull could look enraged, it does. And it's going to look around and it's going to attack Rosalie.
Again?
So with its vengeful strike ability, it's going to lunge at Rosalie just out of rage and ferocity, you know. 6.
Thank God.
Yeah, it reaches out. You still have that shield up too. So like it reaches out with its jaw again, biting on the shield. The shield cracks more but still holds, you know. Good shield. Okay. After Chuck, it is back to the top because that other knoll is dead. Go ahead and show.
Who's going to investigate? Y'all.
What?
I got that one.
No!
Y'all!
First fight, not of the campaign, but like of our session zeros. Just
That
like
one, that
ones,
one, that
ones,
one, that
ones.
one.
Yeah.
Did we all three just get a nat one in a row?
I would say even Trevor got a that one.
I got one earlier now.
Oh my god.
Well, what? You know. Oopsie. Okay.
Well, that's all I can do.
Going to the last knoll remaining. Yeah, Chuck is right there. It's been going after Rosalie.
I did just kill the other one.
Yeah, it's still angry at you. It was like rampaging, like really angry before, but now it's like looking towards you. And it goes just wild. It sort of like raises its arms, its jaws, its club, and just going to trying to hit you with both its club twice. First attack. You should praise this knoll. He just got a 20. No, not 20 though.
Okay.
You should give him praise. He's trying 5 piercing damage. And second roll. That definitely does not hit. That's 13. So it whacks you with the club. Maybe some of those spikes get in the gaps of your armor, but you pull back and you raise the shield and it just sort of hits the shield. Doesn't do much more than that though. It stays in its spot, but go ahead, Rosalie.
Actually, yeah, she's gonna do a ram attack. I forgot that that's an option. Okay.
Fair.
13 plus 2, 15.
That will hit. Yay, you do it.
2 damage.
2 damage. You just sort of kick it. As you kick
him!
She
Shall absolutely
just,
say,
like
"Kick
raises
him!"
her hoof and just.
That's good. I mean, you kick him, doesn't get knocked down, but you kick him so hard in the shin that one of his legs just kind of he comes down to a nub, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Still alive. That's missing its shin though. It's probably its favorite shin.
Oh no! I don't want to be targeted again.
We'll find out. Okay, is that it for your turn?
Yeah. She doesn't got too much right now.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Alright, so if I just have my shield and a free arm, can I do like a punch and like bonus action kick, or is that not a option for 2-weapon fighting?
2-weapon fighting specifies a lighter finesse weapon, I'm pretty sure, so no.
It's just
I will say, this withering in front of you is not looking too great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already dead, but, you know.
I'm just gonna punch it, I guess, but before I do, I will say to you, I'm pretty sure you kicked me harder than that. Okay, that's a 22 to hit.
Wow, yes.
8 damage.
You know, I gotta say, maybe starting off, like, he wasn't aware of the enemy as a bodyguard, but he does just take down both of them as, how do you want to do this last one?
Well, I popped the head off the other one, so I guess I'll just punch it right in the face hard enough that it's fast enough that it just snaps the neck off.
Okay, so you, like, train it up, and then shockwave. Just sort of throw your fist so hard, so heavy, branded merch on the wrist, and it slams into the head of this gnoll, crushing its nose and schnoz area of the skull, and its head just kind of comes off the neck, and the body just sort of falls to the ground.
I am so glad that we had you.
Boy, am I glad you got him too. Jeez.
Oh my
Bonus
lord.
action heal.
just sort of pat yourself up.
Ooh.
Wait, is it second wind?
Yes.
Fair.
8. I'm back to full.
Nice.
Excellent.
You don't have any healing by any chance.
Back to full. Nothing even happened.
Unfortunately. No.
What's your passive perception again?
11.
Well,
Insight 13.
I would say in that punch, you punched a lot of things in your life. A lot of things. You've gotten pretty good at telling the weight of something you hit with your hands, your body, you know. That skull felt a little heavier than you expected when you hit it. I'm just giving you context. I've only told you twice, you know.
I was just about to go check the other body.
Mm. Well, as you do, yeah, you look over. These are just decaying gnolls. That's sort of what they are, you know.
Ashley's gonna start ritual casting detect magic really quick while she's doing that.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, you just easily probably. In the back of these throats is like, it's almost like a mass, like a gooey mass that has solidified. It looks like tar almost, like, or slag from a furnace, you know. But it's like a glob of grayish, like material that's turned solid, and you realize it was like blocking the throat of these creatures.
Oh, gross.
You do see on some of the bands along the body, on the leather strap, there is like a marking on it. Doesn't look familiar to you though.
I take my knife and I kind of like cut out roughly on the fabric where the marking was, and I just kind of. Rosalie,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what this symbol is?
Hold on, let me finish casting this.
Okay. I'm gonna, while she's doing that, then I'm gonna see if, in my mind's eye, does this look familiar?
Make a history roll.
12.
12. As you're sort of like looking it over, no, you don't think you recognize it. Or at least it could be something you've seen before, but it wasn't important enough.
Well, I've got nothing on this. Chuck, did you find anything useful?
There's some weird goop in the skull. It might be something magical. I don't know what we need to check for the other one.
I think it's probably the same goop, but in the other one.
Like it was probably poured in there as a liquid, and then it solidified. Almost like, obviously it wasn't lava, but it cooled down to a rock, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Did they pour that in the poor creatures' mouths when they were alive? I hope not.
I'm gonna start getting the other gnolls and just sort of piling them up to burn them.
Okay. Easy enough, you know. They've been sort of torn up. They don't weigh too much either. They're
4
a toner.
times.
Yeah, they're a toner gnoll, so they're pretty thin, you know. Yeah, so you just pile those up. And as you finish casting detect magic, sort of finishing the ritual, you do sort of clear your mind. You usually feel the sensation of magic in the air, like almost like a static electricity around you, you know. But with that static, it sort of builds up in your mind, and you can sort of feel its presence. And you do detect some magic, specifically from the chest in this little fort space.
There's nothing in the coming from the skulls.
No. Whatever material this is, it may have been magical at one point, but it's just a mass now. But it doesn't give up any magic.
What does it smell like?
Make an investigation roll. You may have to like waft it a little closely though.
16.
16. Get a little closer. Waft it maybe, you know? Because you don't want to go, you don't want to do that. It's hard to get past the blood smell, I will say, in the decay. Almost has like rotten smell. Like not decay rotten, but like it's putrid in an almost acidic way. Could have been some kind of alchemical material, you're not sure.
No, yeah, she specializes in alchemy.
Yeah.
Does she recognize it?
No, but with time and with your tools, you might be able to like figure out what it is.
It's hard now, or is like the
It's
inside
hard.
of it soft?
Like if you feel it, it's like feeling like that sponge rock, you know? You can tell the rock is really light, but it's stiff, you know? It's like that. So it's porous to the touch, but it's also like kind of like stiff like a rock. So you can probably chip some off.
Yeah, she probably takes some of her tools and kind of like
You know, you
chips off a little bit. Okay, what was the thing that you wanted me to look at?
Oh, this cloth. I made sure that you could feel it. The marking.
She like kind of rubs her hand over it, like traces it with her hand to see if she's like, okay, does this
Yeah.
seem familiar?
I guess reroll.
Also, I'm going to go see if that key that the Null gave us.
Oh, there's something magic
goes-
in there.
Goes to the chest. Yes.
23.
Oh, nice. Well, before you do that, if you go over to the chest, sort of open it while you're sort of like feeling it and really thinking through it, you can tell as the sun is beginning to set, you sort of like open it, look inside this glow. Oh, it just comes out of the chest. No, there is a soft glow though. You believe you recognize a small health potion. It's not the glowing thing though. What's glowing in here is something the Toner Gnolls may have found that they wanted to trade. That's sort of what the rumors have said. They'll give you something in some cases. You see sort of like a glass tube like that. The glass is sort of like pulled to its limit, stretched and twisted tight, so it's airtight. You see the slight blue glow of a vial of Fossick, the magical substance that appears naturally throughout the world. It's a good amount. Price-wise, probably need to take some time or find someone that would know how to judge its value, but it's a small amount. Besides that, though, you do find some coins in that chest. There is indeed 3 gold coins and about 12 silver pieces.
I do want to ask for Fossick, because I'm assuming it's not like gas in the sense of you need gallons of gas to fill up a car.
No.
How much of the boat would that amount of Fossick fill? Like half, a quarter?
Would I know?
Yeah, you could roughly measure it. Just make an investigation roll.
Didn't you say that there was like different qualities of it as well? Like some of it's higher quality.
There are two different types.
That was all 5. Yeah.
It's an amount. You know, your boat doesn't take too much. It's basically a canister like that big. You have to fill. Hard to tell.
I'm keeping this one.
Yes, to clarify before, there are different types of Fossick. You were sort of taught about that. No, yeah, feeling the fabric. It's not an exact symbol you've seen, you think, but it does remind you of some of the symbols across the Draco Peaks, specifically Atheland symbols, the sort of like nation group of city-states on the other side of the Draco Peaks. Their symbols tend to say things more than like, it's almost like the Druidic language, like out of character, you know? So their symbols are sort of messages as well as just iconography. You know, I guess that is most symbols actually, but in this case, yeah, you're pretty sure it comes from across the peaks.
What is this doing over here? And it seems like it comes from on the other side of the peaks. That's so far.
Like even further east or
Like-
south?
Like just across the Draco Peaks, like the people that live over there.
Interesting.
South, right?
Southwest.
I don't. That seems so strange for it to be all the way over here.
Would I recognize it at all or no?
You guys may be able to recognize the sort of accent that Chuck speaks with as from the east or the west. Yeah. But you might recognize it. You could take a look.
Louise hands it over and then beelines it over to you because she's like, magic?
Yes, there was a
Make
rival
a-
faucet. I was going
make an
to
investigation
keep it with
roll.
the boat.
As you're sort of like just preparing to like look over.
9.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Yes.
As you look at it, it does remind you of something. I'll actually whisper it to you, because now I can go over to you.
Ooh,
Yeah.
secrets!
There's the camera.
You just sort of look at it, and it's almost like you have to take a second look. You're pretty sure.
Can Rosalie make a check with the magic? She wants the magic.
The-
magic vial.
Oh, the faucet, yeah. Or glitter, glister. I don't know.
Glitter,
It's called a
glister
few
or
different.
something.
Glister.
I mean, colloquially, it's called a few different things: glitter, glister, glowing goo. You know, some
Just the magic stuff.
liquid magic. That's basically what it is. You know, but yeah, the faucet. You go ahead and give me a roll with your proficiency modifier. If you're taking out all your, oh wait, sorry, you're just observing the faucet. You're not.
She's probably trying to use like her knowledge of alchemy as well as her knowledge of magic and this material.
But you're not like getting all your tools out right now.
Not at the moment.
Okay. Then I would say add your proficiency modifier, and the DC will be lowered because of that. But not investigation, because you're not like taking it apart or anything.
19.
19. Okay. In cases where it's like Arcana, it's more like how you sense it, you know.
Oh, she does
Or-
have detect magic still up.
It's true. To hold it as a well-trained mage who already has a strong connection to magic as you do, it's almost like a buzz in your hand. Like you almost get like pins and needles in your fingers when you touch it. But it's sealed in glass. This is refined Fossick. It's a vial of it, and this stuff isn't easy to find usually. It's you can buy it at most cities, but out here in the middle of nowhere, no. The university had something to test with, to mess with. You know, Fossick is still a substance that's trying to be understood. It only arrived it only appeared on this world 60 years ago, immediately during the War of the Machine God, you know. As a new substance, it's still being studied, but in this moment, you are pretty darn sure this is refined Fossick. Which makes it even more dangerous when it's exposed to the air whenever you cast magic around it.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
you very well know, like, even when it's enclosed like this, you don't dare cast while it's in your hand.
Yes.
You do not use this for your boats.
In improper use, in the wrong engine, such as basic Fossick can go into the regular engine, it could cause random magical disruptions to appear or chaotic magic to occur.
No, this is
Pour some uranium
very
into my
expensive,
car.
high
I'm
quality.
gonna put a chunk of
Fossick.
plutonium in my car's
Do
gas
not
tank.
put this in your car.
My what?
In your boat. Do not put this. You guys tricked me up. Do not put this in your boat. This will cause your boats to start like doing all the chaotic magic that those like sorcerers use. It will do that.
Damn it!
I would also probably say they probably got it from like a ruined war machine. There might be some rusted ones still around here somewhere.
This is not even safe for me and you to hold while we're casting magic, even in this.
So then what are we supposed to do with it?
Well,
We can't
it's-
hold on to it.
It's probably worth a lot more. Also, I don't really cast, so I could probably hold on to it.
Do you have somewhere that it would be safe and not get crushed?
I wonder what would happen if I put it in my vessel.
I would not risk
The
it.
boat
My other
starts
vessel.
flying.
I would, if it's anything magic, I would not risk it.
That's true.
Let's have some fun.
Mr. Shrimp goes.
Would I have like a secure thing to put it in, or would it was best I could do just like wrap it in cloth and put it in my backpack?
I would say you have a lot of cloth, but you also probably have cooking utensils. You probably have a pot with you.
Okay.
Or not- I mean, you don't have cooking utensils, but you probably have like at least a bucket or something, you know.
She takes out her best kit, dumps the rest
yeah.
of it in her bag.
Yeah, you have like a metal like bowl that has a lid and everything. You
Yeah,
can close it
and
in.
wraps it in fabric, sticks it in there. Be very careful with this.
Alright.
We do not need a bomb on our hand, please.
If someone hits me with magic, would that cause it to go off, or?
Chuck just disappears. I will say now you can make an Arcana roll, just like trying to recall your knowledge specifically about it.
14?
In your training, the best case when working with Fossick or raw magic material like this, of course, it's always going to be like lead-lined gloves or Agonor gloves. You know, Agonor is just any material that magic cannot interact with. But in a case where you don't have a lead box, lead bucket, or whatever, it's okay to move this as long as it doesn't shatter or destroy itself. As long as you're protecting it and like it's in a metal container. So if someone casted Firebolt at Chuck, the fire probably wouldn't cause it to shatter, especially since it's wrapped in
It's
binding.
in a metal container
Yeah.
inside of my like blacksmith toolbox.
Yeah, but if like a magical meteor came from the sky and crushed Chuck, then it would, yeah.
So, we basically just need to make sure that it doesn't shatter. You should be fine as long as, like, you're not crushed. Like, fire, fine. Lightning, fine.
I don't know how fine being hit by fire is, but I see what you're saying.
I mean,
You would survive. It wouldn't, like, explode.
You wouldn't
on
go boom.
If this gives you any ideas, at the university, we do not handle that without, like, Agonor. We literally are not supposed to touch it without that.
I mean, even thinking about it, these gnolls were pretty lucky that it didn't shatter. Like these things are probably, well, you probably know this. Yeah, these things are always found in some sort of sealed box, like from these old war machines. They're usually in these chests, locked tight in special containers. The fact that it is a loose glass vial means these gnolls had no idea what it was, and they were just lucky it never shattered or they never had magic appear around it. You know.
So if I tied it,
You are lucky that this did not go off in your hands.
so if I like tied the vial to the end of like
That
a
is
hammer,
the seventh most dangerous thing
threw
I've
it.
ever done then.
Yes.
If I tied the vial to like the end of a hammer and threw it to have it shatter like after being thrown, how big would like the blast radius be?
I mean, it's not always a blast. It's completely random. You just don't want it to. We don't want it to go off anyways because that is worth quite a bit of money.
Alright.
Also, great for research, and I would prefer for that to go to research if possible.
Okay then.
It should be fine that you're carrying it. You are not a spellcaster. You are not casting spells. If it hits you, it is not the end of the world because like it's in a box, wrapped in fabric. It should be
Being
fine.
protected by Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if your people knew there was a chance that you would come across this type of Fossick out here, and then they would hope that you would come across it. Oh well.
I don't know. It's just a run. The quest was not even chosen by the university. It was chosen by my mother for me.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Did your mother want to kill you?
No! My mother is so kind.
About to ask, are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Looks up and down. Well, as the sun is finally set, and as you guys are talking about this, you start to feel a little bit tired.
I say, we go to sleep.
Yes.
Oh,
I am
Chuck, could you
setting.
please be on the first watch again?
yes, I
Thank
can.
you.
I am setting up alarm first. I'm finishing what I was trying to do in the first place, and then we can go to bed. I guess we will do
Also-
the same watch we did before.
Could you set that pile on fire like the other last
Hold on.
before?
A toner gnoll bodies.
I can try. She's
Launch.
gonna cast firebolt at
It
it.
seems flammable, so.
You know, just catches. Begins to burn.
No.
somewhere that knows saying thank you.
Do you see the smoke in the distance?
They're like, thank you. You sort of look up at the stars, look up to the horizon as the moon is in the sky. It's been slowly disappearing as you travel, and getting where you are, getting closer and closer to the peaks. You see them above the trees, larger now, high in the sky, blocking out the horizon, as if a curtain closing on the stars. They loom over you. Your head turns back and you just think for a second. Think to that symbol. Look at your hand. Clean.
Alright. I'll go wake up. I guess we're doing the same order, so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and I'll probably not sleep in my armor tonight, just to, since we're actually in a structure.
Fair. Can't help but just wonder what's coming next, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since you've really gotten out there, went around, and now you're leading a kid through some ruins with a big orc guy that is willing to carry anything. You know, you wouldn't have wrote this story yourself, maybe, but it's turning out to be a fun story, maybe.
I can't believe my first road trip in so long. This was some random university girl. And the guy that brought my couch into my boat. Mr. Shrimp, you are not going to believe the bullshit these two people have been putting me in. So much. I don't even know if you are awake. But I almost asked you to find us a vial of blood. Almost did. I want you to know that. But Chuck was able to, like, cut his own blood, cut his arm to get blood, I think. I swear that man's made of, like, I don't even know. I don't even know what he could be made out of. Had to recount something so interesting yet so mundane almost. Oh yeah, I almost died. Anyway, I'm just going to sit in the moonlight for a little bit, but not really. I should go wake up Rosalie.
Rosalie, please make a perception check.
She is going to check her messages for something to see if she got one.
Okay.
Because she would not have gotten a alone period during this time that they've been traveling in the forest together. 14.
Do you just reach up and hold it for a second? You reach up and see if you have any saved messages, you know, voicemails waiting. But your inbox seems empty as you hold close this jewel around your neck.
I'll message you what she does later.
Okay.
Because she does send something.
The sun rises, you can eventually feel the warmth coming over the horizon. The light sort of illuminates the space. You can just feel the heat sort of warming you up after a cold night, you know. It's not too cold, but it was chilly. But, yeah, the day comes too.
Alright, we're packing up.
Yeah.
As
Well,
we're packing up stuff, I'm just gonna say to both you actually. So, in the future, if we ever get ambushed like that again,
Yes.
tactically, if it makes sense, just feel free to try to get behind me. I know you both have strong magics and stuff, but if you don't have a way of fighting something right in front of you, please just let me block between it, because I don't have a way of healing you if something were to happen.
It was more like we couldn't get away. All of my focus, at least, was going towards not, like, dying.
Right, but
I understand what you were saying, and I will gladly take your offer.
okay.
As you guys pack things up, you eventually walk by the bodies, the Eternal Gnolls that you did fulfill the request of the other Eternal Gnoll and burn. some belief to that Noel probably says that these other ones have finally completed their journey. But Shell, just thinking back to the stories you read, Atoner Knolls do sort of like take on the role of atoning for the violence of their other kin, you know. Knolls are constantly cursed by hunger and hunger and hunger and hunger. But every Knoll is born to that, in a way. That curse that they can't escape deep in their blood. It's literal, magical, bound to every soul. But at one point, all these Atoner Knolls were just Knolls. Maybe it just makes you think about your journey coming, or what might change on your trip, how long you're going to be away, you know. It just makes you think. Maybe nice to know that even things that you hear are the worst creatures, monsters out there, even monsters, have a chance. They can be different, you know. But yeah, guys, move on. Getting deeper into this ruined area, moving through collapsing rock buildings, crumbling structures, you start to look for a central temple of sorts. Have perception checks from each of you for keeping an eye out.
Also send Ori up into the air to look for stuff.
I would say it's probably only Ori in this case, since you're looking for like a stone building of it has to look right, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
4.
4? Okay.
I was lost in thought. She got in that one.
Fair.
Damn.
15.
I was like getting
Go,
all
Ori.
philosophical up
Yeah,
in
no.
here.
These perception checks aren't it, guys.
Yeah, really not.
I did fine.
The pseudo dragon did fine.
I did fine.
I mean, yeah,
We are level 1.
it's fair. It's fair.
2.
You move on, and you're looking for specific details. You know, trying to make sure like the structures of a certain place, certain importance. That Chell is probably telling you, hey, you know, with your studies and with Rosalie's own knowledge of history, you know a bit about the Jotun sovereignty. You know, it was a theocracy. And structures it built always centered around a temple structure of sorts. It was a militaristic theocracy. Though 1,300 years old, these ruins are probably actually closer to like 1,000 years old. The last giants were pushed out around that time. You are looking for one structure that's prominent, has some resemblance of importance, divinity. And sure, this place has been picked a lot. You're probably not going to find a golden statue or anything, but this relief hopefully is still on the wall somewhere. I would say it takes you a while, but at one point you do come across sort of like a stable walkway, you know, like some like cobblestone path where the mud doesn't pour into it, but there's grass like sort of uprooting it, so you're like walking on like uprooted stones, you know. And the giants always worked with heavy materials, so it takes a lot and a lot of time for them to like break up the roads of the giants. They dug them deep and wide, you know. But in this case, as you're walking down this path, you do come across something. I feel like, Rosalie, you're the first to sort of like pick up on it. A familiar scent. The rusting metal smell of it, but it's like also the acidic rusting metal smell. It's a unique smell that you are accustomed to knowing, because it's the sort of smell that is left behind by a very old, dilapidated Fossick engine. It has a sort of putrid, sour smell, you know. And you don't feel magic in the air necessarily, but you sort of round the corner and you all see it now. This large, not golem, but sort of crawling like creature, 6-legged beetle-looking thing, with these long 6 legs that sort of keep it raised off the ground, big bulbous body, massive backside. Almost looks like a spider, but it has like segments that remind you of a beetle, but it is toppled, just crumbled, opened, exploded on one side. This is maybe a bit of history of another group of explorers that came here. Maybe it was a fight. You don't know, but just something you happen upon. It's large enough to have an interior, though, if you want to take a look or keep on moving.
Yeah, I'll look inside.
Okay.
I want to see if there's anything interesting in there.
Yeah. It's probably only
Maybe
been here.
Gas.
Get some gas. Get some more gas from a
It's
boat.
gonna have the same kind of thing that we just found.
Yeah.
It might have the same exact thing that we just found.
Fair.
Which is not usable for gas.
It may not be usable for gas, but it is usable for money.
To be fair, You definitely would know from your studies, because you know what refined Fossick is, you know what basic Fossick is used for. The war, when it had a lot more of these machines actually active and fighting. Nowadays, constructs are common. War machines, though, are more like controlled by the military of Velstia. It's a very like controlled sort of tech. Though every now and then someone makes a contraption on the side of the country, and I don't know, Jim Bob has a motorized goat, But in this case, there could be the later model of engine that uses the refined Fossick, or the older model, which your boat is based off of, depending on when this thing was destroyed. And so you sort of like climb up its side, and even though you're tall, you get sort of dwarfed by the size of this thing. You sort of peek in through the exploded side, I assume. All the metal just bent out. Give me a perception roll, please.
Need a
6.
boost.
No. She climbs inside. How visible am I from the outside to these two?
Well, the side is a pretty big hole that blew up.
Yeah.
You're basically in the back abdomen if this was a beetle, or I think it's an abdomen. Yeah. You're still visible. If you go deeper into it, of course you're getting inside it,
Would they be able to see my legs?
Dangling out.
Yeah, because I'm just gonna go inside.
Yeah, if you're leaning in, they can see your legs dangling out and everything.
Okay. Can I go deeper inside?
Yeah. No, it's probably like...
Because my goal is I want to make myself smaller.
Okay. This thing is probably the size of your boat, if not a bit bigger. So it has room inside. It's like a troop transporter or like vehicle crawler. So you sort of like lean in, get in, you're out of sight.
Alright. Now can I look around?
Do you have dark vision?
I don't have dark vision.
Probably have a torch.
You want to go into?
How high up is it?
To climb up its side, the open area is probably only 10 feet up. So Chell had to like jump, grab the ledge, and then pull himself up.
Yeah.
She's gonna vertical leap, just because I think no matter what, I can reach it.
You said like the bottom lip is 10 feet high?
Yeah. The bottom part of the exploded hole that you can get in from, it's 10 feet.
Is there like something I can't catch on fire?
Yeah. You probably have some extra cloth or something, but you probably have a torch, I assume.
I'll also
Yeah.
just jump up and...
Fair. Yeah.
I would like to note that I am not an adventurer, and I was not an adventurer ever in my life.
Fair.
I do not have any torch.
Here.
Or a lamp.
I light it.
I don't really want to hold it.
Okay. As you begin to look
I
around.
fix myself.
Nice. So this has this creature. Well, it's not really a creature. It was probably a vehicle with some sort of sentience, It has probably like a few chambers, but it's not like in any way the size of a big ship. It is probably only like at most 5 rooms and a pilot cockpit included, But as you begin to look around, for those who weren't trying to like look around, maybe discover something, just give me investigation rolls.
12.
12.
You say investigation?
Yep.
14.
Okay. Or
9.
9, okay. Or he's sort of helping to describe a few things, but you also just like... It's interesting how, like, in some ways, these old machines feel organic, especially the later models. During the second initiative of the war, the greatest and most impactful conflict period of it. This long, multi-year war. And like as you're inside, it does feel like you're inside of a mechanical creature that was grown, and like some of the bars holding up the ceiling look like ribs, like some strange exoskeleton. But as you smell around, and as Ori sort of points things out, Rosalie, you realize this first. That smell that usually comes to your nose of that acidic sort of smell, it's fainter here. But as you move out of the room, it disappears. As you sort of like go through like an open bent doorway, and you realize what blew up on the backside was probably the engine room. It probably just exploded out and shredded to pieces. So that's probably where that smell comes from. So there's no engine left in here necessarily. But as you guys begin to look around, moving in a little bit, you do find that it is a 5-room thing, including a cockpit. At the very front, there's 2 seats. old, dilapidated. They were like basically metal chairs that had some sort of leather put on them, but they're just destroyed now. Animals have infested them. But you do find something interesting. Looking in to the cockpit area, there is like a hatch at the bottom. Ori points this out, and Rosalie, you pick it up. Do you open the hatch?
She's gonna kind of sit there and like press her ear, like lean closer to it to make sure there, because you never know. There could be mice. There could be whatever.
That's fair.
She's gonna kind of listen for a moment and see if like there's anything that might be like scuttling on the other side.
Perception roll, please. In a shell, and this time you do find a room that looks like a storage locker. It's next to the engine room. You do find a container that's empty, just destroyed. It might have been holding the extra stuff for the engine. You do find some interesting old gear. You find a very wicked-looking blade. It's like a combat knife. You know, it's rusted, but it's a combat knife. You do find dog tag, but it's like a token. You know, these are how soldiers from this war, especially the metallurgic collective side, the other side that made most of these machines and was attacking one of the aggressor, they had these tags to identify people. You find one, just a nice piece of history. Chuck, as you're looking around, at one point you find a box that kind of has a funny sound to it. I know, as you pick it up, it sort of like jingles, you know, like a bunch of coins are in there, you know, like it's just sort of ching, 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 like a bunch of little metal things are moving around. Do you open it?
Sure.
It's just a latch. You sort of, the lid kind of falls off as the little hinges it had rusted and just breaks. But you see inside a bunch of worn little like rings, like little metal rings like that. They look like they're made of iron.
Like rings to wear or like washers?
They look like rings to wear, but at the same time, they probably have some sort of use like a washer. Okay. They're a mechanical part of some kind, you know.
Are any of them Fossick or lead?
They look like iron to you, but you can roll proficiency if you want to try to for your smithing.
Also, I got a 16.
Okay.
Could I see if there's any
17.
clothing,
These are all iron.
like specific clothing items? Because I'll take the dog tags, but
They might have worn out over the years, but I will say you could probably find something. Give me one more investigation roll
Okay.
as you dig a little deeper into it.
yeah, go back to.
Okay. With the 16 though, as you're listening, you don't hear anything. It sounds like a wider space though. Whenever you put your ear to it, you kind of hear like an empty ding as you sort of like your antler maybe taps it a little bit or something. So it's hollow, a bigger space.
She's gonna pop it open. Slowly, but she does pop it open.
Sort of reach your fingers into this latch and sort of. Oh. What'd you get?
20 or natural 20 plus 1.
Wow. A lot of stuff would have worn out by now. However,
There's a really cool hat in the corner.
there's a really cool hat in front. However, yes, you would find some sort of clothing. You find the helmet of a battlesmith. You know these helmets because you've seen them like performances of the war. You know, these are used and designed for costume pieces and everything. Specifically fought on the side of the metallurgic collective in the war. The battlesmiths were expert wielders of the metallurgic collective's secret magics, you know. In many ways they were a mix of like sort of tinkering engineers and paladins. But back to Rosalie.
Oh no, what did I just
As you
do?
lifted it up, you find in what you believe to be, at least the way Ori's describing it, some sort of mechanism in here. And a pungent smell hits your nose as soon as you open it. A very acidic smell. And you realize what you were smelling earlier probably also was the acidic smell coming from this. Very strong. As you're sort of like looking it over, and Ori's sort of describing it, you're maybe just like feeling it around. You don't have Tinker's proficiency, right? But you do have an alchemy proficiency. So I will say, as you're looking over this, Ori sort of like describes something to you, and you sort of like dust something off, a lot of dust on this one thing. But there's a cartridge, like a metal cartridge, a canister, about that big. and it's labeled with something. It's sort of like an indented metal, so you can actually read it by feeling it.
Okay.
This is an acid canister.
Oh.
That maybe like rings a bell to you. Are you proficient in history?
Yes, actually.
Make a history roll for me.
I always say she's not good at history, but she did attend college.
Mm-hmm.
That landed on my other dice. 18.
18. Okay. You do find this, and you sort of think about it. Now that you know this, you got the description. Something does ring a bell to you. You were standing inside a vial spitter troop transport. These were very sort of dangerous weapons in the earlier periods of the war. They moved a lot of people, about a group of like 10 people. There's a compartment back there that could fit that many soldiers. But what also made them deadly is these contraptions were designed after a beetle that can spit acid. So in front of this vehicle, its nose was sort of crushed into the building when it collapsed, but it had like vent, like sprayer, to spew out really corrosive acid out of the front of it. And right here is probably the last vial of unused acid, canister of unused acid.
About how heavy is it?
It's attached right now, you'd have to unscrew it, but based on its size, if it's completely filled, it could be nearly a pound.
Yeah, she can carry that. She's gonna kind of like be very careful, but she's gonna try to unscrew it.
Okay. And these things shot out in quick bursts of like making mists of this very corrosive substance. But as you're sort of working, it's kind of rusted, so you're gonna have to give me a strength roll.
Sprayed it.
That was a nat one.
Yeah, that one.
It was a nat one.
Nope, it's not coming undone.
Chuck, could you come over here?
Yeah, sure. One sec.
In a vehicle like this, it wasn't built for someone exactly your size, Chuck. So like you're like coming through watertight hatches on a ship or a submarine. You're like coming through it.
Right. This. Huh.
You see just this canister that's sort of screwed to two pipes that she's trying to get out.
Could you unscrew this? Be careful, there's acid in it.
All right. If I unscrew that, is that gonna open the canister, or is that just gonna release it?
It's a pretty old canister. However, it was probably made to be removed and replaced or put in.
Okay.
So she probably knows more about it, you know.
Because I don't want to unscrew like the cap of the canister. I want to unscrew where it's like connecting.
I would say you probably do know with that roll you made earlier. It's probably safe to remove as long as you're careful.
It's fine. You can remove it as long as you're careful. It's not. I mean, they have to remove it somehow, and they also have to punch it in. It should be fine.
All right.
Okay. Make a strength roll for me.
Okay.
Chuck gets chemically burned.
Really does take a step back.
Yeah.
Well, I roll a 2, but that's still a 6, 8 if it's athletics, but not great.
Make a dex save for me.
Okay.
A 1 was pushing it, but a 2 on a second try, you sort of like twist it, and maybe maybe it's like you're really strong, right? And it's rusted metal, so you're like applying pressure in the wrong area, and you just sort of twist it, and you sort of bend in an edge of the metal, and all of a sudden it just sort of it just sort of starts spraying out like a water jet. Do make a dex save for me.
So I pulled a righty loosey, lefty tighty kind of thing.
Oh, you tightened it.
You added too much pressure.
Dex save?
Yeah.
7.
7. So it just sort of spews out. You are far back, but this is meant to go into the air and spread out. So also make a dex save for me, Rosalie.
No.
Wow, this is such a cool helmet. What a lovely part of history about
Just
these
hear-
monsters.
Does this classify as other magical effects or no?
This is not a magical effect.
Then that is a dirty 20.
Yeah, you're just looking at a really cool helmet, and all of a sudden you hear, ah, fuck! Okay, dirty 20, that passes, fail.
Yeah.
Half damage on this.
Oh.
This might be a lot, actually.
I mean, these vehicles were meant to clear.
Because this was a, like,
yeah.
tank weapon.
But I did roll pretty bad. Okay.
As long as it's less than 28, also
Instantly
down.
melts to death. Chuck, game over. No, I did roll pretty badly, even though it was a couple d4s. It is... Does it have a modifier? No, it is just a base roll. Okay. 8 acid damage.
Okay.
Just
Oh my lord, Rosalie.
Rosa just
Yeah.
like
you just hear screams. You hear
really
hissing.
quickly
Yeah.
gets out of there.
You just see like along Rosalie some burns, like a chemical burn.
Oh my god!
And
That
Chuck,
was not
did you see the wall behind you? You have a silhouette where it didn't, like, because you blocked it, but on the wall where your body wasn't, there's like a silhouette of like melted metal.
Mm.
It's like sponge-like, you know.
Yeah, you backed up. You should have just stayed right behind me. But yeah, second wind. Why not?
Rosalie, do you need to take the healing potion?
But
She
Second
actually
wind, I'm
takes
full heal.
the other one that she had. She has a small one.
Yeah. It's fair to say, but the acid canister is wasted. And there's nothing else in this
That's one of those.
vehicle.
Oh, what a shame we can't do acid effects.
I was wanting to analyze it though. I wanted to make stuff from it.
Well, I'm pretty sure some of Chuck's dead skin is somewhere around here.
I
Probably
do not
could be
want
salvaged.
that.
Like
I
that's
do not want that.
I don't
horrible.
know what researchers are into nowadays. I have an art degree.
I'm an art major.
She's holding the
Yeah.
helmet. I have an art degree.
I don't know if there's anything else that would be really interesting to us here.
Well, I'm keeping this.
I mean, you can whatever you want.
Battlesmith helmet is a nice find, especially one that isn't rusted as much. That one's not really rusted too much.
Mm-mm.
Should have gotten a healer.
That probably would have been smart.
Should I just get out of the vehicle? No problem. And you do see it now, just looking back to the ruined corpse of this vile spitter. At a time and place, this would have caused a lot of fear. Now it was just an annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Well, I guess we should keep going.
you continue on. You still have a few more hours of daylight, but you're actually in like an area where there is like a structure vaguely of like a ruined city.
Mm-hmm.
This place may have been consumed though by the earth a little bit, so you see some of the buildings are sunken in the ground. You know, some of them are tilted. None of them have like roofs. Eventually, with the Chell's knowledge and recognition of certain symbology and stuff, you do eventually venture to a space that you believe is sort of like the hub of this once city.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not like a large city, but for like giants, it was a good population. It just sits on the edge of Acneal's Cage, the great forest, you know. And you can probably tell that forest is probably not too far south of you. So if you go too far south in the ruins, you probably just end up walking into that forest. Chuck, tall, also being very tall, just sort of seeing over some of these ruins, you do see a structure that's almost raised on like a stone basin, like a stone foundation that was purposely raised with stairs going up high enough to where even if it's sunken into the ground, even if the green has grown over it a bit, it is still sort of standing. The signs of a structure. And the place you need to go. A lot of stairs, but giant-sized stairs.
Alright.
Boing, boing, boing. You can see more of this space, and you do see where the trees do not grow in this overgrown ruin. You see like the outline of a once living city. And as you get further, further, and further up, you do see statues, or at least the remnants of foundations of statues along the staircase. And eventually you get to the top of the foundation. By now the sun has started to set. But behind you is a structure, ruined, but still with stuff inside, standing. There's walls, there's windows, some of them is crumbled down, most of the roof is gone, there's still massive columns and everything, but it's all there. That piece of art hopefully is still there, otherwise this was all for nothing.
Well, Rosalie, would you like to go in now, or would you like to go after we've rested for the night?
You know, it might be a good idea to go inside now so that we can have shelter inside rather than outside.
True. Yes.
Plus, most of the traps, if there are any, have probably been set off by robbers by this point.
Very true. You probably should stay in the back. We probably should stay in the back. Chuck!
Please lead.
Right.
Please, thank you.
As you try to find an entrance or the proper entrance, make a investigation roll to sort of like find the best way to get towards the center or wherever this piece might be, or just a place where you can set up your camp, so to say. Actually, this could also be survival. Any one of you could do this.
Is
Can we all
Rosalind
do it
will
or
keep
just
it.
one person?
What was,
I would say you all can do it.
We
I
can all do
guess.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
what was the first option?
I'll say either investigation or survival.
Rosalie's gonna look for a place that would be good to like sleep for all of us.
Okay.
Survival was 15.
15.
Investigation 16.
16.
Survival 21.
21.
That are all good there.
We all point to the same spot at the same time.
Yeah.
All of us. That's what.
Hey, we're just looking. Oh, whoa, guys. Yeah, yeah. You do eventually. There's like a collapsed pillar in the front doorway. And you have to like walk under it. It's very precarious. Like at any moment, just you know, you guys like walk under it into the hallway. You know, and immediately on the left side, it's just like a little dip in the ground. It had a pool of water, like an indoor pond. All the water has been dried up. There is no roof, but there are crumbling walls on all sides of you. You do see vague sculptures of like faces carved into the walls, you know, symbology, but probably not what you're looking for necessarily. It's probably the safest spot you can find.
Alright, I say we set up right here.
Is the ground stone or is it?
It's stone.
Still tempted to try and shove the tent spikes through the ground, but I don't know if that'll work.
You want to try? I mean, I guess they would. I guess they're metal.
Please don't damage them. I would much rather just not sleep in a tent tonight.
Alright then.
I'll
I haven't
just
slept in it at all, so it's fine.
slowly clean. Prestidigitation.
I will say though, because you guys are like higher up above the canopy level, it is windier up here, and it is probably colder. It's not like elevation cold, but like there's nothing blocking the wind, so there's a wind chill. And the walls, though large, there are plenty of holes in them to sort of create this like haunting, like hum, and probably cool
Okay,
down the
maybe-
space.
Maybe it
You
Is
might even need a fire.
Well, usually you only need like the spikes in a tent to make sure it doesn't blow away in the wind, but for like inside a structure, do we have to worry about that or?
He just said the wind was, there was wind.
So like it's a giant structure. So basically, I'm saying like all the walkways, all the hallways are so huge that they get a good wind current going through them. And especially in this space you are in, it's so close to the exterior, and this place is all raised above the ground that basically the winds can just blow. And like
You said that there was like pillars and stuff that are fallen, right?
yeah.
We can attach some of them, like one
Yeah,
of
onto
them.
the pillar. I was about to say that because I was saying we really wanted to make a blanket for it. Because you said it's a fountain, right? Or something that could be like.
It was like a little
Yeah,
dip in.
it was like a little pond. It probably
Yeah.
goes down about like almost 5 feet at its lowest level, but it's like a bowl in the ground that's probably about 7 to 8 feet in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
We put the tent in the center. And then there's no wind because we're in a bowl.
I mean, the thing is though, it's only 7 to 5 feet in diameter, so that's like
Mhm.
Chuck's width.
He's
Like
not
laying
getting in the
down.
tent.
Oh.
We
He
leave.
can't fit in the tent.
We leave Chuck out in the cold.
I mean, I guess you're gonna need a fire or something.
I'll figure it out. I
That's
have
fair.
a bunch of torches that I really don't need, so.
Pile them together. Hey, you will figure it out. Yeah. I mean,
Whoever's keeping watch, I'll just ask them to light the next torch when it goes out,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll work.
Sounds good.
Rosalie's just gonna take the bedroll and just sit out there like curled up in her bedroll as she's like, she's not gonna try to fuck with having a torch.
I will say this is probably the most uncomfortable night for you.
There is a few other
In your
nights.
travels starting, yeah. In your
Yes,
starting
as
travel.
of recently.
Yeah, yeah. Especially what you've had lately. What?
Oh, I was about to say, you probably should continue to light the fire, given, out of character. You should light the fire because Chuck's still out there.
Oh yeah.
Yes, heat. It does matter. Especially in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a Chuck will still give Chuck a giant
Mm.
blanket.
I covered my boat with this tarp here. You can use it. Yeah.
Another.
I'm not gonna make you roll to start a fire.
I probably have the.
Yeah, if you have torches, you probably have a fire
I have
starter.
a tinderbox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tinderbox.
Fire.
You also have that.
You have 2 magic
You got
users.
magic.
So, oh no, the faucet. No. So,
I'll just use one. I have 10, I guess,
Mhm.
so I'll just use one for each hour, so I guess 8. Because
Okay.
it's just extra weight I don't ever really need.
That's good. To be fair, you guys don't know what's down in the lower areas, crawling around here, causing trouble. So this is probably a pretty safe place to camp. But the problem is the cold, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as you guys sort of bunker down for the night, Chuck just sort of. I guess we start watches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same order as before.
It's a good order.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that perception check.
11.
Good. It's right. Like you guys 10, like uneven. You know, on average 10. You know, doing great. So as you guys sort of just chill, Chuck, you just sort of keep watch as everyone eventually falls asleep. You're maybe like looking out the like ruined like hole in the wall. You know, there's a few holes in the wall, and you kind of see like stars and everything. There's been a few things that have been on your mind lately, which is in the past few days. Maybe it's just because you're getting out. Maybe it's because you're on a trip where you're experiencing things, but thinking back to that symbol, just sort of like an itch in your head, makes you feel a little uncomfortable, you know. But that feeling sort of, almost like a chill leaving your body, just sort of pours out. Sort of straighten up, your eyes just naturally drawn to the looming mountains, Draco peaks. Their shadows don't seem so threatening, even though you've gotten so much closer now. They don't seem ominous. Not to you. In this case, they almost like both humble and remind you of a better experience you've had before, you know. Times in your life where you met people that really sort of like told you what you could do, you know, helped you and taught you new skills, and it's almost like a drum in your ear, you know, like a soothing sound. You just swear in the wind. You hear either your heartbeat or some sort of calming rhythm. Nothing eventful, just a lot to think about. The fire crackles and hisses. You
Alright.
keep warm. Okay. After that, Michelle. You woke up from Chuck. You sort of get settled. Yeah, you fall asleep. you fall back asleep. The moon is like becoming crescent. You know, it's darker. The firelight is
She
comfortable.
definitely still has her blanket on.
Yeah, with the fire, you're so soothing and just, it's a nice night. Oh my gosh, how long have you been asleep? You wake up, oh no.
It's like the wake up you
Yeah.
can have after a really long nap you
Yeah.
didn't expect to take.
Exactly.
It's like
Luckily the sun is not up, so like, you can still say you were on watch the whole time, but you might have just slept through your watch.
I think based on the moon trajectory, what time is it?
Yeah, it's probably been an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
I should have made you make a survival roll, but I'll just give it to you.
How much longer do I have to wait until I have to wake them up again? I forgot.
About now. Now you can wake her up.
Roslyn, your turn.
The torches are definitely out now too.
I.
Yeah.
Perception check.
Mm-hmm.
18.
Okay. Sort of get comfortable. Look around this place. Maybe walk around the room you guys are in.
Did
See-
she get a message back?
Actually, yes, you do get a message back. 1 second.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
got excited.
I just had to double check something. Okay. You sort of like feel the warmth of the stone, knowing, signifying that there is a message. Just pick it up, hold it, squeeze it a little bit, and then, oh my gosh, that is crazy. That must have been so insane. Glad you're alive. I've been busy, walking around, seeing the city more. I don't know, my life is kind of boring compared to yours right now, I guess. Stay well.
Rosalie kind of like just like looks very happy that she got a response back and is like, okay.
A friend did answer.
Yes, she did.
As the sun begins to rise on the horizon, as the light turns orange, and Pythea wakes once more, this group has traveled far. The journey is not over. That's what we'll call it for tonight. And hopefully, we can reel you back in for more. We'll catch you next time.